Hi, everyone, and welcome to One Six Figure Focus. And this is episode number 15 of Visions, where every episode I sit down with a different collector and discuss the past, the present, and the future of their collecting journey. Now, this next guy, I do a lot of traveling, and I've met a lot of Canadians. You always know the Canadians when you travel because they're the ones with the little Canadian flag sewn directly onto their backpack. I've never met a Canadian that I didn't like. And this guy is no different. He's a very passionate collector. He's an absolute gentleman, and he's a major Dark Knight fan. So I'm obviously biased towards him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ben Thomas Show. How are you doing, Ben? You good?
I'm awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Definitely appreciate it. Very happy to be here. Very excited.
No problem at all. I'm looking forward to this. I've yet to do one of these where I didn't actually enjoy it. Like, it's just the conversations are always unique. There's no two collectors are the same. I'm not sure if
hmm
you've caught any of the show before, but like there's
hmm
no two collectors collect in the same way. No two collectors collections are the same, or their displays aren't the same. Everyone's different on how they go about things.
100%.
How did
100%.
how was your day?
It was good. I've been working like crazy this week. I estimate paint jobs for a living, so we've been training some new people. And so, since I'm kind of the high seniority on the list, I'm doing all of our commercial sales and helping with the residential side. So, this week has been crazy. I've had to bail on some accountabilities. I'm glad that I didn't have to bail on this one because I was really excited to be here for it. So,
Super, super. So you're
yeah,
basically doing all the work then.
almost all the work at this point, but I've got a good team behind me, and once they're trained up, it's gonna be a good time. So.
Good stuff. So it sounds like you've had a very, very busy week and you're trying to have a drink and kick back and talk about your
Yes,
collecting habits.
yes. I poured myself a double rum and diet here, and just for everybody listening, I got a new kitten last night. His name is let me get him here for you. His name is Oliver. So cute little guy, but he definitely wants my attention. So I'm going to do my best to try and make sure he doesn't meow into the microphone too much. We'll go
You
from
should have
there.
just you should have
So
just sent him the link, man. Just send him the link, get him on board. He gets his own cat cam for himself.
no, you're right,
So
cat version.
so that's 1-to-1, not six scale, I take it.
He's 1-to-1, but I tell you, he's a little guy. But we've got a silver bangle upstairs who's an 18-pound cat, and
Right.
so he's been kind of by himself for the last year and a half. And Shauna, my fiance, she came to me last night and shows me her phone at like 8 o'clock at night, this picture of this little kitten, and she's like, can we get him? Right? And so, how do you say no, right? And so,
Yeah.
the big thing was is that we wanted to be able to have somebody for Alfie, like our main silver bangle. We work a lot, we're out of the house a lot, so he spends a lot of time by himself, right? The
I
funny thing
see, I
is
see.
again, he's a massive silver bangle, and this guy's got to be like 2 pounds at the very most. And this
Yeah.
guy was chasing Alfie all over the house last night like crazy, dude. So he's a
And
little bit of a he's a little bit of a
how old
pansy.
is Alfie? How old is the bigger cat?
He's only a year and a half.
Oh,
So he's
right.
still pretty, yeah, he's still pretty young himself. But
That's good. So it's not kind of like he's at the other end of life and it's like, go away from me, cat.
no, no, no. I think give it a couple weeks and these guys will be the best
Yeah.
of friends, right? So he just ate his dinner, so now I'm sure he's gonna start falling asleep here soon.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But this new is it Oliver or Oscar? What's
sorry,
the name?
Oscar. Did I say Oliver? I
Oscar.
might have said Oliver. Yeah, because we
So
were
like,
we were on the fence. We were between Oliver, which for me is Green Arrow in my mind's eye, right, and
right, yeah,
Oscar, which is of course more like Oscar Isaac from Moon Knight
yeah,
recently,
yeah,
and so many other great things. But
yeah.
uh, Sean is still, I think, mostly settled on Oscar. I don't know if she's done the official Facebook post yet, though. So we'll see. So it
Yeah.
could
If it
change.
goes on Facebook, it's official. But
That's pretty much
at
it.
least it's not like it's definitely not a nervous cat. You seem to have got a pretty playful cat there.
He is
If
not
it's
nervous at all. He wants my attention so badly, and of course he's been sleeping for the last like three
yeah.
hours, right? He only happened to wake up once the stream started, so
He just knew. He just knew. All
it's
right. So really, really quickly, we're just going to address the chat. So obviously we have Ben Thomas in here saying hello to everyone. We have Leighton Richards. Thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. I think we're clashing with Will Fox Vacation at the moment. I did not realize, but thank you very much for being here, Leighton, Richard, and JC, and William Owens, who is always here and very much appreciated. It's very rare I put up a video where I don't get a comment from William Owens. I I admire his consistency, and just like supporting the channel. It is definitely appreciated. Thank you, William Owens.
That's one of my favorite things about being in the chats, honestly, is seeing the same reoccurring folks, right? You like start to
Yeah,
really build a relationship with the community, which is awesome, to be honest.
absolutely. Hopefully, I get to meet a few of them next year in Star Wars Celebration in London, and then
How
maybe in the
cool!
future, I'd love
How
to go
cool
to
would
New
that
York
be?
Comic Con or something like that. Insane one. Let's get one six-figure focus to 1K people like a subscribe. Thank you very much. I do appreciate the shout out. William Owens, the man after my own heart. I just love these dad jokes. The perfect addition to the collection. Yeah, that's right up my street. 10 people in the chat. Thank you very much. I wonder, I put up a poll earlier on during one of my premieres, but I'm not sure can you actually do that live here? I just want to check really quickly. Do I've got to go into my own thing here? No, I think I've got to log into YouTubers. I'm not going to bother.
For a
Right.
poll?
Pardon? Yeah.
You said
do
for
you
a
know,
poll?
a poll through do you do that through StreamYard, or do I go to my own YouTube? Do you know?
I don't know, good sir. I'm always invited to other people's StreamYards. I purposely haven't got it myself yet. I'm trying to get to myself to that 1,000 subscribers before I start doing some live streams just kind of on my own. So
Gotcha. Yeah. I kind of took the plunge, I think around 500, and it just it's a start. It's kind of touch and go, but you definitely get there. I think I've had an advantage because I've done the online teaching thing during the pandemic, so a lot of stuff is similar, just a different platform, with the sharing screens and stuff. Right, so Martin G says, hey everyone, I think we're up to date with the chat now, so we're going to throw you right in the deep end here before we even start talking about the past, the present, or the future. We're going to throw you right in the deep end. Straight off, think fast. Who do you prefer, Marco or Gigi?
Ooh, Gigi for sure. 100%.
Excellent. That's the answer that
brains
I wanted.
and beauty,
Exactly. Take that, Marco. I can't wait until I get that text message or that Insta message going, yeah, I saw what you did. You think you're funny, huh?
I'm no longer a co-host on his channel.
No, you call yourself the six-scale scoundrel, you're going to get some abuse. You know what I mean? So no, I'm only messing, Marco. I'm a big fan of 166 GG, Marco, the collection, and that the whole channel. So keep up the good work. Right, so I suppose we're going to start with may as well start with the past then. Just in case you just joined us, this is episode number 15, I believe, of Visions. We're going to discuss the past, the present, and the future of Ben's collecting journey. And while you're here, if you haven't done so already, I'm just going to get this banner up. There we go. And we have a special guest, Oscar, obviously, as you noticed. So Ben is going to try and discuss the past of his collecting journey with his. This is brilliant. This actually looks class because he's sitting right in your shoulder. Okay, so how did it start? Like, I want to know, what was your first hot toy? I want to know, when did you buy it? I want to know, what retailer did you buy it from? I want to know, like, how did you feel about that price tag? Like, did you struggle with it? Something you thought for a while? Did you think it was a one-off, or did you know, no, I've opened up a can of worms here? How did you feel when you got it in hand? Tell us everything. The floor is yours.
Yeah, that's so amazing questions. So I definitely started, and I actually owe my Collecting Weekly boys an apology because I said the wrong date the other day, and I'm glad I had a chance to fact check myself. I started back in 2010. The DX02 was my first Hot Toys. So that was the Batman Dark Knight DX02. And it was given to me as a gift at the time. Now, this was from a past relationship. So that relationship actually ended kind of poorly. So I sold him in favor of getting the Dark Knight DX12 about 2 years later. So even though technically the DX02 was my very first Hot Toys in my collection, I think of the DX12 as really my first because he's still behind me. It's still kind of the first of my aspiring collection over the years. Now, I remember thinking both the DX02 and the DX12 was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. Back when I was working for the bank, so this is going back again 10, 12 years ago, I would sit there every day and I was connected to the phone channel telephone call center, and every 2 minutes you're beeped into a call, and I was doing mortgage renewals at the time. And there was this period of time where we were selling insurance over the phone. So I had these kind of longer gaps in between my calls. But back then, like, I was only making, I think, $35,000 or $40,000 a year at the bank. It wasn't a ton of income. So I was living pretty paycheck to paycheck. I was supporting my partner and all this stuff at the time. And I could not afford Hot Toys. But every day, dude, I would go on Sideshow or some other websites that sold them and look at them and aspire to one day kind of own it. And so, as I said, I put it out there, just kind of floated it into the ether that I would love to have one of these as a gift at some point, or maybe something that, you know, justify purchasing on my own at some point, but would see kind of how it went. And I'll tell you, dude, I did not think that I'd ever actually own one. And then when it came in the box and I opened it for the very first time, the DX quality, right? Like that black foam, when you open that thing up and you kind of see it for the first time, it was the most accurate representation of any movie character like I'd ever had. So it blew me away. Like, I remember thinking like, wow, like the spikes on his arms or his gauntlets are like actually like physically sharp, you know. His helmet or his cowl, again, same, sharp. You could poke somebody with it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And the Christian Bale likeness. Now, even though there's now the DX19, I know there's a little bit of a hot debate as to whether the DX19 is a better head sculpt than the DX12. I still love the DX12 head sculpt. I still think it's amazing. And so even to this day, I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do with that DX12 head sculpt, because I want to get him into a suit and a tie maybe, or I've even seen there's a figure that was, I think, a third party, and it was called, I can't remember what it was called, Ninja Warrior, I believe it was. It came with like a Liam Neeson and a Christian Bale. Yeah. Essentially from that scene in Batman Begins, right? Where they're kind of fighting outside. But I want to swap that head sculpt of Christian Bale with the one that I've got for the DX12.
I gotcha.
So that was kind of my first foray into getting into 1/6 scale. But again, the first two that I received were gifts, and then the third was actually a gift as well from my current fiance.
And you got some. You're hanging around with the right people. You're hanging around with the right people. I like
no doubt. But of course, then once you have two in your collection, then it's like, okay, well, two looks a little strange together. I want to maybe have like the trifecta, right? So I'd been looking at the DX11 at this point for years. Of course, Heath Ledger, after he passed away, his figure skyrocketed in value. But Heath Ledger, the Joker from The Dark Knight, is easily one of my favorite characters of all time. And so for me, I was like, I have to own him at some point. And it wasn't literally until last year that I was able to finally lock him in. And I spent $1,000 to get there, $1,000 Canadian to get him. And of course, hi bud, it's okay. Sorry guys. Right before, of course, Queen Studios
You're like a Bond
decided
villain,
to release theirs.
You're like Blofeld there. Yeah.
Well, as I said, Shauna, she's currently at the grocery store. She was supposed to be helping me babysit, but, you know, you can only do what you can do. So.
Come on, Kat, we're trying to keep it PG-13.
Yes, right. You at least face the camera. Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to see that side of you.
In fairness, it's a very, very cute kitten, and I just love how it's, like, not nervous at all. You got a good one anyway, because it's going to be easier for you. But it'll probably make it easier harder as well.
We only got him last night, so I kind of expected him to not want anything to do with us for the first day or two, right? But
now he's on live stream. He's going to have his YouTube channel next week.
That's right. So, sorry, bud, you can't step on the computer. So, hopefully that answers your first question there, good sir. Because
definitely. So you originally got the DX02 as a gift, but you sold it on. You got the DX12, which that's a major upgrade, I'm guessing, from the DX02, because I had the DX02 and I just maybe I got it because I overpaid for it and I got it late. I was underwhelmed by it, but at the time it wouldn't have been my first, so I would have seen other styles and newer ones as well. But the DX12, from what I've seen on reviews and what I've heard from people who've owned both, it is a major upgrade from the DX02. But the gap between the DX12 and the DX19 isn't as much. That's what I'm generally hearing from people who have experience with all three.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because I think from the DX12 specifically to the 19, it is still a pretty decent difference. Where I would actually compare the 19 most to is the Armory sculpt, because that's the one that I ended up swapping my DX head sculpt out for, the DX12, for the Armory sculpt. And that was a night and day transition into like, wow, this looks so much better. The DX12, the eye paint around his eyelids was almost missing. Like you could see a lot more of it, like the white of his eyelids. And so it looked kind of like he was always a little bit surprised. Whereas the Armory sculpt looked a lot more movie realistic and a lot closer to this new DX19 version. I also had swapped out the cape. So I took the DX12 cape off, which was notoriously like a crazy dust collector dude, and swapped it with a Jackson Shoe custom cape. Which was, I think, one of the best things I've ever done for a figure. Now, if it hadn't been for the community and some of the Facebook groups out there, I wouldn't have even known that was honestly an option. So, sorry.
Good stuff. Just gonna see if it's just gonna address the chat here. So, the Empire Strikes Again says, "How's the devil?" I presume that's a Devil's Workshop reference. The Liam Neeson sculpt is great, but the paint job on it is very bad. He is way too orange. I call him Oompa Loompa. Okay, thank you, Martin G. Thank you. So you basically the when you got the DX12, I just wonder. I know you sold the DX02, but who did you buy the DX12 from?
I got it from Sideshow at the time.
That was Sideshow, and then the next one after that was a gift as well, wasn't it?
And so I had been able to kind of tell Shauna a little bit about kind of the point system and everything, and I told her what my password was for Sideshow, just in case she ever wanted to log in. And
how
sure
trusting
enough,
and nice of you.
Right? The funny part was that usually once you kind of confirm a purchase, it sends you an email, right? No, I never saw the email. I don't know if she had it somehow sent to her instead, but she was able to keep it a surprise. The devastating part was that she didn't really understand Hot Toys when she bought it for me. So she worked in a warehouse at the time, and she bought this Deadpool for me, and it arrived at her workshop, and she was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." She opened the shipper, she opened the art box, she sliced through all of the plastic, and pulled the figure right out in her workshop, which is a restoration shop at the time, to show all of her colleagues how cool this Deadpool was, to then put it back in the box, close it all back up again, and give it to me for my birthday. And I opened it and I was devastated because I was like, I thought she'd got ripped off. Right, I was like, you said this was new, right? And she's like, oh yeah, it's brand new. And I'm like, oh no, it should never have these seals ripped off. It should have plastic all over the head sculpt and the hands and the boots and everything. Oh, she's like, oh no, I took all that off. I was like, oh thank goodness. Oh man, I thought she got ripped off hardcore, right? So
I remember hearing I remember you telling this story before, and I think it was Origin Stories, and I got some kick out of it. And Megan was sitting next to me, and she was like, she got a kick out of it because she knows the story, she knows how it is, so that was the Deadpool from Deadpool 2 then, was it?
Deadpool 2, yeah.
So the DX02 was a gift you sold it on. The DX12 you got from Sideshow. The Deadpool 2 Deadpool was your third one, and you got that off Shauna. So first of all, come on, she got you a Hot Toy figure, and now you're engaged. Take notes, people. You know what I mean? So and
it's a good way to my heart, to be honest.
Yeah, there you go. And that's a great figure. Are you getting Cable?
So I had him pre-ordered, and I actually canceled him. I when he first was announced, I was so excited about it, and then the third-party Cable came out, and I was like, the third-party one's actually not too bad. Maybe I'll just pick that one up. Yeah. And then they finally were like, okay, no, just kidding. Hot Toys one is actually coming. But then I think now we're at, that must have been 3 years ago, at least 2.5, 3 years ago that I pre-ordered it.
The way I describe it is, I ordered Cable when I was Riley's age.
Oh my goodness!
And it still hasn't come
yet. You've aged terribly.
I know. I need to moisturize. I said that on Riley's stream the other day. We got a bit of a kick out of it because it's just been so long. And I got another notification yesterday saying it's been delayed, but I can't see them doing another figure from Deadpool 2, and I just think they'll pair so well together. Plus, it's such. I think it's going to be an absolute banger of a figure.
I think it will be too.
Is there any chance you'll pick it up in the future?
Hard to say, because I was still on the fence with it because I wanted something to pair with Deadpool. But then this new Logan or Wolverine has been announced from Days of Future Past, which I know that they're obviously, it's not the same film, bit of a different situation, but I love the dynamic between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I think it's a hilarious, just like life dynamic those guys seem to have. They seem to care about each other and hate each other all at the same time. And Deadpool and Wolverine as comic characters together were always some of my favorite kind of storylines. It's just hilarious, right? Even the Deadpool PlayStation video game, which is actually an amazing game. If you have a PlayStation and you can download it for pretty cheap, it's really fun. And even in there's a whole bunch of like Wolverine jokes and stuff. So I love the look of that Hugh Jackman, and I would say that for me, Wolverine is still a character that I like more than Cable. So I think if I were to now pair one, I think I'm probably going to wait and get that Logan in my collection.
I got you. 100%. So just before we move on to the present then, like after the Deadpool, what was the fourth? Can you remember the fourth? I know it gets blurry when you get that past the like fourth, like, but can you remember the fourth one?
100%. So it was the first time I'd experienced buying overseas, and so I went through Toys Wonderland, and at the time it was pretty new. I'd only heard.
You're not allowed to say Voldemort, man. You're not allowed to. God, people frown when you say that. Like,
Knock on the wood.
Yeah. So you rolled those dice, did you?
Hey, we only have so many options here in Canada. Okay.
So come here. Like, what do you find scarier, base jumping or ordering from Toys Wonderland?
To be honest with you, it was actually a pretty good experience. I went on there and I was blown away by how cheap at the time they had a white stormtrooper from Return of the Jedi and a black shadow trooper. And so I was able to get a deal to get both of them. I think it was about $700 Canadian, which was at the time, it was like $250 Canadian each per figure plus the shipping. So like that was amazing, because even like getting from Sideshow or some of these other places that we kind of normally get or buy from, you're like Canadian, once you do the conversion and the shipping over the border and all that good stuff, you're looking at usually $300 or $350 per figure pretty much on average. So the fact that I could get two troopers, one black one and one white one, for $250 each, you couldn't beat it. I had to get it. And then it was of course the shipping and some of the conversion and some of that stuff that killed it a little bit. It ended up, as I said, being close to $700 I think when it was all said and done. And then it came in this really like nondescript shipper box, because they had packaged them together and duct taped the heck out of it, dude. Like it was like fully wrapped, right? But I opened it up, figures were in perfect condition, and the white stormtrooper actually gave me a bit of a headache when I first cracked the box. Like, people say that the smell of a Hot Toys is a little addictive. Dude, I had a headache for about a day and a half after opening that thing. He smelled like he was like fresh lacquered.
Oh, right.
So, but it was a way that I was able to sneak another two Hot Toys into my collection. Yeah. Because Shauna, her kind of our house theme, like I've got now the basement, so like this is now my man cave. She doesn't really come down here very often, but when we shared an apartment together, it was very like pink, white, gray, pastels, and so on and so forth. So Deadpool was kind of pushing it because he's red, right? So it doesn't really go with the color scheme of the apartment. But I could get a white and black trooper and make it look pretty classy still in the house.
There you go. Right? Yeah, I like.
So that was that was my thinking. I'm like, I can get two more Hot Toys for a decent price, and it matches the aesthetic of the apartment. It might be worth going for.
I just you obviously have a good eye, because I really like your display. It's I know, like Leal always jokes like that, like he calls me Mr. Clean and stuff like that. I do like things organized. I don't like clutter, obviously. A bit of OCD, as a lot of collectors would have, but you've got a fairly clean display yourself, but it's unique the way you have the lights. They're the Philips Hue, aren't they?
They are the Philips Hue. So like this is like in terms of illumination, this is only at 20% illumination, because if I were to have it on full like you wouldn't be able to see me. Like they are really bright and beautiful, and they go basically any color on the spectrum. So I've got two strips down the back of both Calexes, and so I can make it either like a uniform color, like across the board, similar to how you have behind you, like because that's usually how I have it displayed, because I've got above me here as well, I've got a Philips Hue lamp, so I usually have a little bit of a color pop with that, and kind of then the white like display lighting like you have when I'm just down here playing games or hanging out. But whenever I'm on stream, I find, as I said, that it's a little bright, so I'm able to kind of tweak it a little bit and have some fun with it.
Yeah, it's and lighting, especially for streaming, like I just realized the most from, obviously, I don't know, from doing streams and being on streams, and I've done a bit of photography myself before even streaming. I kind of realized it, like photography, it literally means to draw with light, like, so lighting is so important. But even the ring light I have here, just which illuminates me, I think it's at like not even 40% light, because otherwise
Yep.
it's really bright, like, you just, but the lighting is so important as well when you're streaming, to make sure that you're showing off that the audience can actually see who's talking, but also
Yep.
your display as well. That looks really nice behind the way it's done. It's like you have these
Thanks, man.
silhouettes and you can change them to any color, you were saying, yeah?
Any color I want. And so like it ends up being, like, as I said, a really, really cool display, because you can even have it like, so like even the because I've got another Calyx down beside me here. So beside me I've got four, I've got the two sorry, the Stormtrooper, the Shadow Trooper, Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back, and Mando with Grogu.
Yeah.
So I've got the four right here, kind of right front facing the couch under the TV, right? So because like I like looking at the Star Wars ones, oftentimes the most, like, and playing with them a little bit. And the cool thing is with all the Philips Hues, they all connect through like a hub. So I can rotate the colors all the way through. They can kind of blend into each other and change and everything, which is really cool. I'm still really jealous of your microphone, to be honest. I think that is pretty cool. Every time I see your streams, I'm like, that pops to me, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, man. Cheers. It was I had one that just it sat on the table, and the sound quality wasn't great, and it was it took up like nearly the same amount of floor space, the base, as the keyboard. And I was like, oh, this has to go. I want something that's on a boom arm that I can hold down. It was actually Graham from the Jedi Knights Watch recommended this one. He's one that's all red, and I think this one is the step up above it then, with the fact that it changes. And I just got the boom arm, so it's class. I can hang it down over me, or there's a little stand I can put in front. But yeah, just basically the sound quality was better, and I just got lucky the way it looked. But it does have some sort of software for PC that you can change the color or do half and half or something like that, but it's not available for Mac yet, which is really weird in this day and age. But when it is, I'll be putting it a bit of green, white, and gold there for the Irish flag,
It's amazing. It's amazing what goes into streaming. I never really realized it until I started streaming with Zach and the boys over at Collecting Weekly. Like every Tuesday night, I'm over there, hanging out with those guys. And I've been streaming a little bit with Marco and doing some shows. And at first, like, I used my like laptop webcam and I think the microphone in the laptop, and it was terrible quality. Like, I go back and watch that first video I was on with Marco, and I'm surprised he even let me on the channel, to be honest, right?
It sounds really thin, doesn't it? The
real thin and like tinny and like, yeah, right. And I mean, the guys still make fun of me because I don't use a pop filter yet, but I'm getting there. I'm working my way towards it. So, but again, it's amazing what goes into it. And then even still, it's always a work in progress. Like almost after every stream, I'll still go back and take a quick look just to see how the lighting was, how the sound was, see if I can tweak it so that people watching actually, like you said, can see us and enjoy the content a little bit more. Right?
It does, and you do have to do that from time to time. Just take the pulse, take the temperature of your streams, and kind of go, oh, the lighting could be better there, the sound could be better there. I need to be getting close to the mic, all those things, because it's weird. You do learn whether you like it or not, But no, it is interesting. So we got 10 to chat. Thank you so much, people, for being here. I understand that there's other streams going on at the same time. I know Will's streaming and stuff like that, but thanks very much for being here. We do appreciate it. William Owens, Deadpool 2 is a fantastic figure. He fits any situation exactly. I agree. Deadpool video games supposed to be very, very good. Cable and Loki are running neck and neck when they'll be released. Yeah, look, they'll make great Christmas presents, I think. Think Loki is winning, probably, yeah. And I'm gonna pick up Loki because it's the only one
I also want
I don't have a Loki, and I want to get the Endgame one because it doubles as the 2012. I have this thing in my head, I call it plugins. I maybe it doesn't make sense. Just the Loki Endgame can plug in an Endgame display, but it could also plug in next to my Mark 6 because it's Avengers, because it's 2012 as well. Or even the Mark 6, if I was to get the Mark 1, could be displayed with that, and you can basically put Deadpool anywhere. But I have Ryan McCarthy here as well. How are those gains, Ryan? Ryan has been commenting on my videos and watching my videos a lot, and it has not gone unnoticed. Gone unnoticed. I think it suits better, gone unnoticed, because he trains this kid. But thank you very much. I do appreciate you, Ryan, tuning in. I have a chance to pick up Venom tomorrow. How do you like it? Ben, this is for you.
So spoiler, so I'm working on a little review video right now, so keep an eye out for the Ben Thomas show on that, but I absolutely love it. Now, one thing that I will say is that I've wanted it for, I don't know, a year, at least, maybe two, like however long it's been kind of in the running for, and I had talked myself out of it. So I'd originally pre-ordered it on Sideshow, and I just paid the deposit, right? And then they announced the Venom 2.0 with the Eddie Brock head sculpt, kind of the symbiote, half molded head. And so I was like, okay, I think maybe I'd want the head sculpt more. So I went to cancel, and they wouldn't take my NRD back. So I was like, okay, well, screw it. I'm just gonna cancel anyways, and wait for a future time, see if I'll get the Eddie Brock head sculpt. Well, I was in one of my local comic book stores the other day, and I saw it, and yeah, it was at a good price. And so I picked him up, and geez, dude, I am so happy I got it. It is one of the coolest figures I think I have in my collection. It may be becoming kind of one of my favorites, to be honest. Now, one thing that I didn't realize, and you kind of talked a little bit about the display in the back, is just how big it actually is. You see the reviews, and you see some of the other people's channel videos on it and stuff, and it looks pretty big, but in comparison to even my Captain America, who his stature is quite large. When I compare my Endgame Captain America to Spider-Man or any of these other figures, right? Even like Mando or Boba Fett, he's really broad and wide. Venom makes that guy look like a normal, average dude. He is insanely large. And some of the hands on Venom, in comparison to Spider-Man, who I've been posing with a little bit, it's insanely large. So definitely, if you're thinking about the figure, make sure you have a spot in your collection for it. Because again, if you look in the back here, as much as I love my display, I'm pretty much maxed out on the size of figure that I can put in there. All of the cubes behind me are only 12 inches by 12 inches, which means pretty standard figure size. Even Iron Man, my Mark 7 Iron Man, he's almost just too tall. He just gets in order to stand, but there's not a lot of head clearance. So I've been thinking about making the switch to Billy cases instead from IKEA. They're a little bit more adjustable. They've got glass doors on them, especially now that we've got this new baby kitten in the house. I'm a little bit worried that having the open display concept like I've got is going to be devastating. Even when I put him on the counter here, I'm like, oh, please don't go for Venom.
Yeah, because I was thinking, as much as a beefy boy he is, I reckon Oscar would take him.
Take him out immediately. Yeah, exactly. And not something I want to find on the floor when I get home from work. No,
so. You scratch Venom's eyes out. Martin G, I hope that answers your question there. Just Ben's thoughts on Venom. And interestingly, Brandon Salad said, he says, interesting, I'm considering selling my Venom. So maybe you guys could have a chat on Instagram or something, if maybe you are following through in that, Brandon. So Savon Mason, I hope Carnage comes out good. I'd say you're not alone there. Carlito, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon to you. How are you? Pablo Meza says, hi, guys. Watch the sharp edges with the cats. They love to bite them. Yeah, there's that. So it's solid advice there from Ryan McCarthy. Ben, how many 6-scale figures do you have, including Exo 6?
16 at the moment. So I've got only one Exo 6 at the moment, which is my Data from First Contact, who's just amazing. I love that figure. And then all the rest are hot toys. So, and and again, even with Venom, I can see why some people would still want to sell him. As I said, he's so large that unless you have a good figure space or a good display for him, he might not be able to fit everybody's collection. And Carnage is supposed to be still head and shoulders even bigger than Venom, which blows my mind. I honestly don't think I could justify the Carnage even still. So
we'll see. Because the Carnage is just they oversized him, didn't they, for the movie? Would that be right?
I think for the movie they did, because they I think it almost seems like they took it from a scene where he's kind of getting overpowered and he's kind of growing and getting larger, but to me, if you, Maximum Carnage is one of my favorite comic book series of all time, and Carnage in that isn't much bigger than Spider-Man, and definitely not head and shoulders bigger than Venom. And so, in terms of like what I picture in my mind's eye is kind of like that 6 scale reality, or that shrink ray version of a real life creature like Carnage and Venom, he seems too big to me. But it
Yeah.
might also be the only way that I can now lock in an Eddie Brock head sculpt without selling this guy and trading for virtually the same figure.
Yeah,
Right?
just
So
yeah, I get you. Get you. That was one of those ones where it was kind of like a facepalm moment for collectors who were into the Venom thing. Going, if I just waited, it was kind of like the Chrome Mando versus Beskar Mando. But yeah, I think I'm not going to bite the cherry on that. I love that Beskar armor. I literally I took out the light box yesterday and I smashed on some rock and roll music and
nice.
just took out some figures and snap and just did a dump on my Instagram today. And I think that figure, that pose, like turned out really well, and I got a nice snap of it. So I'm really happy. It's a nice little buzz when you get that photo. Like, I find it really therapeutic when you just spend like an hour, have a beer, listen to music, and just take photos of your collection. Just
It's one
find
of
it
my
really
favorite things to do,
enjoyable.
dude.
Yeah,
100%. Did you
100%.
take the fat suit off your Mando, or did you leave it on?
No, I just forced that. I was about to swear. I'm trying to keep it clean. I just forced him where I wanted it to go. It's like, you think you're not going to do this pose? You just don't know it yet. You are doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Even though we drink a lot of maple syrup here in Canada, like we still swear. So like I won't be offended, just so you know. So.
no, it's all right. I try to keep it kind of PG-13 on my streams anyway. At least, like, and generally in most streams, like, but the odd time I swear it slips out. It's not the end of the world if it does, but I like to keep it family friendly. But again, it's not the end of the world if it happens. But when I can control myself, I do.
Dude,
So,
I stream with John from Collecting Weekly. He's a hard guy to not swear around. I'm not gonna lie. So especially when we get into reissues. So
yeah. He's I'd love to have him on the channel because we polar opposite opinions when it comes to reissues. And I think that makes for a better conversation when you do have options. I definitely over the next I'd love to say weeks or months, but I think at this stage, like, there's so many collectors out there and with their own individual stories and so many content creators, and I'm really enjoying this particular series that, like, I'd love to have Zach on, I'd love to have Dean on, I'd love to have John on, like, so yeah, if you're chatting and maybe float the idea, and I'll be reaching out to them and over the next few weeks and months going forward, like, so hope to get on with them because they're kind of OGs in a way, they've been doing it a long time, and they did a lot of work with that in art to get that staff. I just thought that was
I don't think that would have happened, honestly. If it wasn't for those
I
guys,
think that was
honestly.
done correctly. It wasn't just like they didn't just go to a Facebook page. They they contacted them directly. They had the polls. They had their data. I thought it was very well handled. To be honest, they got stuff done. Quick address to the chat. Just got off Will stream and this is on. Love the end of the week when you can just swing from stream to stream. Shiny. I will drink to that.
Same here. Good to have you here.
Yeah, happy Friday, folks. Tremble Dust, cool. Oliver Pilgrim, the man, the myth, the legend, the saint. Did you see that on Collector's Lounge when he?
I missed that one.
He dropped it, but you'd probably heard it and people talking about it.
What was it for Ben, the Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, I did hear about that. That was crazy.
Yeah, man, that
would have made me cry too, to be fully honest. So
yeah, well, I think like it's the world's messed up, like, and it's nice. Those little rays of sunshine restore your faith that the vast majority 100%. Of people are good people. So it was good. Agreed. They went a little overboard with the carnage. Yeah, they definitely took some liberties. Loco Lou recommends Shine Sue Grease for the Venom body. Have you done that? I have Venom and I haven't yet. I don't have a Venom, but I don't know how I feel about 303 or this type of grease or stuff like that. Do you do anything like that to your figures, Ben?
To be honest, I've never really needed to. So because even with pleather issues, I had the Catwoman for a long period of time, and I did sell her because I sold her in order to help me get the DX11. But even her, she had no flaking issues or anything. I don't know if it's maybe just the climate here in Calgary, Alberta. It's relatively dry, but it's there's not that humidity. But however, my buddy Joao from Big Bretta, he says that humidity...
Speak of the devil.
Hey, there you go. He was saying that like dryness can kill the outfits and stuff just as much as humidity can, and so it's like it's kind of back and forth. I don't have a clear cut picture in my mind as to whether it can be too humid or too dry, but so far I've never really had much of an issue. The one thing that I will say about the Venom is he clearly has a bit of like a clear coat on him, right? And so I could totally see that starting to flake over time the more you kind of bend him and twist him and pose him. But I'm just going to try and see that as battle damaged. I don't necessarily collect my figures to sell them. I collect them to enjoy them and pose them.
Yeah.
So,
I think
100%.
I'm lucky in Ireland. It never gets too hot and never gets too cold. Like in the winter, we do have sub-0 degrees temperatures, Celsius. Basically like there'll be frost on the ground or there'll be freezing, and the odd time we'll get snow and ice and stuff, but maybe minus 10 degrees Celsius would be like an extreme winter for us, whereas like for Canada it's nothing. Like and then in the other day it was 30 degrees Celsius here, which was basically the hottest day in Ireland in the 21st century, so far. So we really don't get that hot or too cold, so therefore the figures, they're not, we're not in the extreme, so we're just very lucky if you're a collector
You should
in
advertise
Ireland.
that nicely. We're all going to start moving there soon if that's the
Yeah,
case,
there you go. The only thing is
heat
it's
waves and everything.
so much rain, man. So how are you, big brother? Mr. Thomas, I love the way your display looks with the lights behind the figure, making it look like silhouettes. Yeah, it is dope. It's very good. Get Mr. Clean to 1K. Thank you, Brandon. We're getting there. I think I'm on 951.
I know. So I feel bad because like we've been buddies now for a little while. We've even streamed together for a couple times, and I did not realize that I had not subbed to your channel.
My God, Ben! I've subbed to you on the burner channel as well.
I know. I literally, I was your sub number 800. I was like, oh, that's bad. I was like, I gotta call myself out on this one. This is not good.
You're like me, man. I appreciate that kind of honesty. I know I'm in the company of someone I can trust when you out yourself like that. And that's very honest.
It's just like, oh, I felt bad. I was literally driving to work, and I was trying to find your stream, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, why is this not showing up? And pull it up on it, and it wasn't. So I've now got you on my work phone, and I've got you on my personal line. So we are good. We are good to go.
Man, I do appreciate that. It's very, very much appreciated.
The ultimate betrayal.
It happens me too, because it's like sometimes like I'll think, no, I'm definitely sub to that person, but it's just because I'm listening and watching so much 1/6 scale content that the algorithm automatically pops out whoever's video. Keith. Okay. Keith is Irish, really nice fella. We messaged a good bit on Instagram, and he's been a strong supporter of the channel since day one. I've been at him to come on one of these episodes, but he says, no, I'm not a YouTuber. So like I said, he doesn't have to wear a beanie or a flannel shirt, or he just comes on and talk about figures. So I'm definitely calling him out here. Keith, come on, just 1 hour, come on.
I don't even own a beanie, so I'm happy that wasn't a requirement of being on the show.
Listen, man, with the weather's been fantastic. I think actually this summer in Ireland, the weather's been really, really good. And we I can't imagine this room gets really hot. It gets a lot of sun during the day. And I remember on Collector's Lounge, we used to wear flannels and beanies. It's so hot here. I can't imagine doing that now. In the winter, yeah, but it's it was very, very warm. To be honest, I don't really worry too much about destroying my figures. I bought them to pose them and enjoy them. Unless I go nuts and rip off a limb, I'm fine. Yeah, look, there you go. Even the like brand new, clean versions of these Iron Man suits have little slight dents and chips in them because it's supposed to emulate what real mechanical suit would look like. Even like a flash car has tiny little scratches from sand and stuff hitting it, and little stones hitting and stuff, just makes it look more real. Tisk and didn't sub, lol. Shiny says it's the ultimate betrayal. End the stream now, betrayal.
End it now. Kick him out.
Yeah, well, folks, it's been great now, and we would just like to thank them for coming on. What's going on in your channel? Sorry, folks, we're back. We're only joking.
You let that music roll that whole time. I was like, oh shit, maybe you're serious. I'm like, that's it.
No, I
That's
just
funny.
needed to open up my my second
I would say
beer.
in terms of possible figure damage, I think I was most worried about posing my Spider-Man, so my Tom Holland
Yeah.
upgraded suit, because of the
Same.
wrinkles. But then everybody was like, "Oh, like the wrinkles bounce back. They bounce back. You'll be fine." And honestly, like if you guys see behind me right now, he's standing in just museum pose, because I've had him in like a very Spider-Man pose for the last month or so. And today, when I was posing him with Venom, because I'm, as I said, doing a bit of a review on Venom later, I unposed him and I was like, okay, yeah, there's definitely some creases there. But I saw that
Yeah.
6 months ago, and they did bleed away. They stretched back, and it was fine. So
That's what Loco
again,
Lou said. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what
it was
Loco
it
Lou
was
says. If you
totally
leave
fine.
them, they gradually
Yeah,
work a way back to return to shape. I
I'll tell
actually
you what.
solved that problem by buying two.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
The upgraded suit was the first figure I ever bought two exact same copies of, because the pose I have it in. Oh, you can see it there. It's he's incorporating. I love when you incorporate a bunch of the accessories, because we know like some figures come with accessories, you're not going to be able to incorporate them all.
Yeah.
So he has obviously the skull poncho, the glasses, the Edict glasses, the phone, and he's holding the mask. I love the kind of that old style of Spider-Man when it's actually like a fabric suit. He's holding it.
100%.
I loved it so much. I was like, I want to keep that there, but I got a gift of the Mysterio drones, and I was like, no, I want to do a kind of a real crazy pose of him landing on one of the drones, and that's going to cause a lot of stress. And I was like, I just want to leave it there, and now it's like right above me here, like, so I'm glad I did it, like, you know. So it's, yeah, who knows, maybe I'll sell one eventually, but I'm happy with the two of them now, to be honest.
So you got the drone pack then, like the
Yeah.
like the full out. Oh, okay, cool.
The big one that comes with two little
Yeah.
ones, and then he's like on top of the drone itself. I photos on my Instagram as well of it. That reminded me, actually. Do you have a full collection room tour on your channel?
I don't actually, which is funny because it seems like that those videos usually do pretty well. But I wanted
They
to kind of wait.
guaranteed to do well.
Yeah, I wanted to wait until I have honestly a bit better of a camera. Because I use a web camera for this. Oh, geez, my hue's going like crazy. I use a web camera for the majority of my videos, and then I use my like Samsung Galaxy S20 for a lot of like my figure review videos. But I was worried that it wouldn't capture very well, to be honest. Especially like as cool as I like the display and as much as I like kind of that background setup, what I did find was, because they're backlit, they're a little bit hard to capture from the front. Just obviously, right?
Yeah.
That's just photography 101.
Yeah.
And so I need a better way to light them from the front while I try and capture the video, but then it kind of detracts from like the coolness of the display. So I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on the kinks, because I watched even my buddy Ty over at Uncommon Flex, his YouTube channel. Awesome dude. We've been chatting a lot about Star Trek lately, and his figure like collection tour was great, and like so was yours, and like so many others do so well. But I don't know. I'm not quite there yet, but I've been slowly kind of reviewing almost everything that I've got. So like I've been doing a lot of these toy tours lately and having fun like trying to find or hunt for these Batman the Animated Series 6-inch figures, and then reviewing them as I collect them. And I'm slowly kind of going through all of my Hot Toys as well.
Yeah.
So
The reason I ask is because I'd be really curious to see, just in my mind, the layout of your room. And obviously you're right, I would like to see it the way you have it now set up, so you'd have to be conscious of having your settings so that you can get you're not just getting a silhouette, which is cool, but you want to be able to see the figure too. And maybe it's just a case of turning the lights off or putting them on and doing like one version of tour with the lights on, and then for the individual close-ups with the lights off. I will say one thing though, I have an SLR, and like, say I use the SLR obviously for taking photos of my figures, or for if I'm doing a video, like say my Toys Wonderland experience video, I'll have the sound going through this for the good sound quality, and I'll have the visual from the SLR with a little pancake lens, and then I'll merge the two of them, so two separate files, because then you get a real high quality looking production. But for my tour, I actually used my phone. And what I realized was, a lot of people don't realize that on iPhones, or I think most phones now, if you go into your settings, you can actually choose 4K video it just takes
I
up a
did
lot
not
of
know that.
it takes up a lot of storage. So the idea is do the recordings, transfer them to the device, and then delete them from your phone, obviously. So
Yeah.
I literally recorded the kind of, I usually do my videos where like I'll record everything with no vocal, just record it, and I'll get rid of the audio, and then I'll do a little picture of me explaining things as we go along. That's how I like to do. I like to have a little picture explaining everything and how I got it or whatever. But it was 4K, and a lot of people commented going, "Man, how did you record this? The quality is insane." I was like, I just changed the settings to 4K on an iPhone, and then like for the next one, I have a thing called a gimbal. I bought like one of those DJI gimbals so it holds it steady and stuff like that, so you can lock onto faces and pan around them. It costs like $100. Like, so it's definitely, it's sometimes the simplest way is the best way, you know what I mean? But you're guaranteed like that collection tours always do well. And I think that collection tour it's my highest viewed video. It's like 3.2 thousand views, which for me is insane. And I'm gearing up to do like part 2. I'm gonna call the next one Mark 2, and that's how I'm gonna do them. Mark 3, Mark 4, and that's how I'm gonna do my tours. I'm gonna address some of these chats because I have to call myself out. I have to call myself. First of all, Keith, my people will talk to your people, but that's not a no. Ben, that is not a no. He wants money, but that's definitely not a no.
Oh my goodness.
Is the cat in the screen? is the cat like,
the cat?
Yeah,
he's sleeping on my lap. I don't want to wake him up.
I thought when you said, "Oh my goodness," the cat had gone around the screen.
No.
So Big Breda said, Oliver Pilgrim said, "I'm stealing that pose." Shane, listen, I steal the vast majority of my poses, so work away. It's not stealing, it's borrowing. I think it was Picasso said, "Good artists steal or borrow. The good artists borrow, but the best artists steal." Did anyone notice Shane's smoothness filling up the cup with beer? It ends with the perfect foam. Now, I'm going to call myself out on this. I don't know, is the temperature in this room? This is what happened. It ended up like bloody ice cream. It was good, and then... cheers.
That's amazing. Cheers. Literally right before the stream started, I realized that Shane had a pint in front of him, and I'm like, oh, do we have like 2 minutes? I'm going to run upstairs and make myself a rum and coke. You got to do it. It's Friday.
Do you call ice creams in, like a standard cone with ice cream, a flake, do you call them 99s, or just call them ice creams?
Just ice creams, yeah.
In Ireland, like if we get a cone, just your standard wafer cone, and just a normal vanilla ice cream, there's this like chocolate bar. It's really crumbly, called the flake, and an ice cream with a flake stuck in it, we call it a 99. That's just what it is. But if you got that served in a pub, people would make jokes going, "Oh look, you have a 99," because it looks like ice cream. But...
it looks like ice cream. Yeah. I'm no fun at parties, dude, because I can't eat gluten anymore, so I can't have ice cream cones anymore. Like people are like, "Oh, in China, you should come over for dinner." Like, you don't want to invite us for dinner. We have too many food allergies. But it's a good thing, because I'd be like a 500-pound dude. I would eat everything in sight if I still could. So
yeah, man, it's like gluten. I love the way that like a lot of people are just like obviously you're intolerant. I have friends who are intolerant, but like no one really knows what it is. Like I remember looking it up before. It's like a type of starch or something like that. But
it's wheat. So it's wheat and barley and malt. So I can't eat like basically eat bread and anything that contains wheat. But I can eat
beer?
Rice flour. I can't drink beer anymore.
Is there any type of beers that you could?
You can drink rice beers. So things like, I think like Sapporo is one of them. They've got gluten-free beers. I don't even remember what real beer tastes like anymore. So the gluten-free beer now kind of tastes like beer to me. But
gotcha.
I remember when I first went gluten-free, like I used to have like beer and pizza every Friday night. That was just like something I'd look forward to at the end of the week.
I call that living the dream, man.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
You would. Yeah. It's not fun. Yeah. So that was a good question from Pablo Meza, though. I do like that question. What's the crown jewel in your collection? Oh yeah, we're going to address that. When questions like that, we have to address. Just in case you've joined us, obviously we have Ben Thomas here from the Ben Thomas Show. If you want to subscribe to Ben Thomas, just go. You're on YouTube. I don't mind if there's a mass exodus here for a minute or two. Go out and find the Ben Thomas Show. Give him a sub and come right back in. You can also follow him on Instagram at the Ben Thomas Show. We're on episode 15 of Visions. We've discussed the past of Ben's collecting journey. We're about to move on to the future the present, before I maybe put him under pressure and ask him another question. So what's the crown jewel in both of your collection? You pick. It still has to be the DX11 Joker for me. He was one that I wanted for a decade, and I still absolutely love it. I know that Queen Studios' version is superior, and I've got the Rooted Hair 2-pack coming next year, but for the time being, every time I look at that figure, I stop and look at him and kind of tweak him a little bit, and some of the accessories that he comes with are amazing, and to me, like, the Heath Ledger likeness is still 100% there, especially in the laughing sculpt. So yeah, I would say for me still the DX11. Even though I try to, like, I think you say it best, Shane. You know, you try and cultivate your collection. That's the way that I try and go with my collection. So I don't really bring figures in that I'm lukewarm on. Like, I either love that character and I'll buy it, or I will skip on it and live vicariously through other collectors and enjoy their collections and not buy it. So
I definitely think that's my way of looking at it. My only vice, like, I think sometimes I'm surprised Lael invites me back to his streams, because he's like, I'm gonna ask you, do you have any interest in this figure? But I already know you don't. so it's funny because it's like a thing now. Because if it's Clone Wars, I write it off. Sequels not happening. Even like the prequels, like I've Cody, but Cody's a trooper. But my point is, I have that same mentality, but troopers are kind of my weakness. But I know
that's fair.
If the proverbial shit that hit the fan, the troopers would probably be the first to go, with the exception of the OG original trilogy trooper, which is still probably my favorite. Plus, it was a gift from Megan, so it's like, the jewel in my collection, everyone knows, I'm always banging on about it. It's the bloody Mark 6. My favorite suit, and it's a great figure. And I can't wait to have a look at that Beautiful. Battle damage quarter scale. Okay, I gotta address these chats because I'll never get through. This is an experienced beer drinker. Cheers, lol. Yeah, they're actually giving Grogu's away with pints of Guinness now, so I have a jar of several thousand Grogu's there as well. Pablo Meza, good question. Yeah, thank you, Big Brother, saying that. Tremble Dust experience indeed. It's an Irish thing handed down from generation to the Folks family. Accurate. I do get crazy when I see people filling a cup that ends with 70%. That is like a pet hate. Irish people abroad, when you go abroad, like to maybe like, I don't know, Eastern Europe, Australia or something like that, when they give you a beer and it's like, you order a pint and it's not a pint, it's like, it just doesn't make sense. Ben, the attention-seeking geek, had a good collection tour. He doesn't have a huge collection, but he's got some interesting stuff, fact, and everything has meaning to him and fun. The guy wore a tux. For his collection tour. You need to follow him, folks. That's brilliant. Amazing. He does these amazing cosplays, which he makes himself. He's so modest. He doesn't realize he's going to 1,000. It's going to happen. Like, there's no question. He's too likable and works too hard not to get there. If you haven't followed Attention Seeking Geek on YouTube, please do. I enjoyed the ASG room tour, very detailed and interesting backstories. Exactly, and that's what we want to hear. That's what we connect. There's a place for both amazing giant collections like Justin's and the smaller curated collections. Always love listening to people talk about what they enjoy. Yes, 100%. Got to run, guys. We'll definitely catch the replay later. Father's duty calls. Hit the like button, guys. Thanks, Joel. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Tiria, have a good day, Big Bretta. Shiny for sure. Started collecting hot toys a few months ago. Man, it's not too late. It's not too late, man. Turn and run. No, I'm only joking. It's a fantastic community. And when you get those pieces in hand, you walk by, and every time you walk by and give them a look, you get that little dopamine hit. It's free dopamine for the rest of your life.
100%.
Yeah.
I said to Shauna yesterday that I hadn't, I was like, because we went and got the kitten and we had kind of an evening upstairs, and after the night ended and we were kind of getting ready to go to bed, I was like, shit, I haven't gone to the basement yet tonight. And she's like, why? What's down there? I'm like, my whole collection. I just had, for all I know, the cats have knocked all of them over and I have no idea. I'm like, I feel like I just got to quickly do a 10-minute walk through and I'll be back in 10 minutes. And had a little rum and went down.
You need to program that room of yours, to have some sort of a little laser on the ground. If that laser gets broke, you get a Captain Marvel beeper. That's what you need. There's been something terrible has happened.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, write reviews. What's up, guys? Just popping in. Amazing guest, Ben. Keep up the work, focus. Again, the whole, I know I'm always saying subscribe to this person, subscribe to that person. Everyone is different. No two content creators are the same. Everyone has a unique personality, a unique collection, a unique perspective and angle for their channel. But Riley Views on a journey. He's very close to 500 subs. That's his goal for the year. And to be honest, I think he's going to hit 1,000 this year. If you haven't subscribed to Riley Reviews, definitely do. Anthony Wagstaff, this is the last chat now before I ask you another question. When is Cable coming? To be honest, he's going to be a Christmas present, Anthony. He was supposed to come, I think, well over 6 months ago. He's been delayed. I'd imagine it's a small batch. That's going to be a fantastic figure. I think it's going to be worth the wait, but October to December is what my email, that's what happened. The email I got there yesterday said October to December. So, yeah, with that being said, okay. So, I'm going to just keep this quick because I want to get on to the present. So who do I have? I have a bank of questions, but I want to pick out one that might suit you.
I will say, if Riley's still listening, I'm still waiting for an invite to your channel, boys. I'm just saying, I would love to stream with you guys at some point. You just let me know, and I will be there, 100%. Him and KG, like, they're good guys, and I like the fact that they haven't had any negativity yet. They're just excited to be part of the community and excited about the figures that come out.
Yeah.
And I tell you, every time I go on my Instagram at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night and they're streaming, I'm like, oh, what's released? Like immediately, I'm like pulling up Hot Toys, pulling up Facebook. So you guys keep it coming, and I'll join the channel with you guys if you ever get a chance. 100%.
Yeah, man, those two guys at KG and Riley, they're so likable, so unique. I've said it to the two of them before. They're wise heads on young shoulders. Like, I was never a gamer, but like, I work in a school. Kids are either into sport or they're into gaming. Like, gaming is just massive now. Like, and maybe they're into gaming as well, but like, to be into the physical side of things, like holding these physical, collecting, it's such a unique thing. Like, for people so young, but they're wise heads on young shoulders. Also, I was on the channel and it was myself, Riley, Popsick, and Nick's Collectibles, and I felt like the chaperone. I was that old. So I'm going to ask you
I've got grayer hair than you realize, by the way. That's why I wear a black hat. I'm saying.
Yeah. But you still have hair, don't you?
I do have all the hair, yeah. I'm lucky that way.
Same. I think a lot of people think I'm bald because I wear a hat a lot, but
I thought that about Zach from Collecting Weekly, and then he pulled his hat off and he's got like a mad bushy haircut. I'm like, dude, like what? Why do you wear a hat all the time?
He's probably like me. I just love hats. Like, right. So this is a funny question. If you could choose any figure from my collection, what would it be? If I said pick anyone, what would you pick? I can move out of the way as well, unless you know it.
I don't know your full collection. Is that RoboCop down in the bottom left there, or is that what is that one? Bottom. Yeah.
This one here.
Can't tell what. Yeah.
What is that? That is the battle damaged armored Batman from BVS.
Oh, okay. I can't see him very well. Jeez, you know what? Honestly, that's a great question. I would probably steal either your 2-pack Boba, the bird ship Boba, because I think that's just
greedy, man. Together. A 2-pack?
I'm a little greedy. It's a little bit. Or the Mysterio. The Mysterio has been on my radar for a little while. I've kind of wanted to pick it up, and I saw him at the comic store the other day when I bought Venom, and I was like, ooh. So I would probably steal either the Mysterio or that 2-pack for sure.
Good stuff. The Mysterio is a fantastic figure. It's one of those ones I had no intention of getting, and then I looked at it and I was like, how well it turned out. It just came out of nowhere. It just turned out unbelievably good, and it just looks so good paired next to the upgraded suit. It just makes perfect sense, like, you know. Again, it's one of those figures that you look at and just admire the detail. You get lost in it. Right, so we have discussed the disadvantages. I didn't actually click this sound, so you still only answered one. 4 more to go. Right, we're going to move on to the present of your collecting journey. Nothing like
a 5-finger discount from William.
Yeah. Right.
That's amazing.
So you established that you actually got your first one all the way back in 2010. Now, this is in a climate where a lot of collectors have like kind of flown into the community in the last 2 years because people were off work. Maybe they were, working from home. Maybe they had disposable income and they'd more time, and they, obviously there's been an increase in the amount of collectors and stuff like that. So, but you're kind of like me. Like I got my first one back in like 2009, and like I took a big break then, and because I wasn't in a position where I could display them and stuff like that, and money and stuff like that. But like you've been, like you got your first in 2010, and then you sold that. You picked up the DX12, and then you got like the Deadpool, and you the DX11. Like, so where are you now? Like you mentioned, was it 16 6 scale you have currently?
16 6 scale, yeah.
And what about like your pre-orders? Do you have many pre-orders? I know pre-orders is kind
Actually, sorry, you know what? I've got 17 now. Venom makes 17. I just wasn't counting him because he's not in a cube. But yeah, Venom is 17.
But that's just 6 scale, isn't it?
6 scale, yeah.
Right. So what I want to know is
a lot of figures.
Currently, you have 16, but like how many pre-orders do you have? If you're comfortable sharing that. Not people like to air that dirty laundry. Do you have any quarter scales? Do you have any statues? I know you collect other scales as well because you're a big fan of the animated Batman. Would that be correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So like, talk us through, like, besides those 17, talk us through the pre-orders if you have any, and if you're comfortable sharing information, and like you've any statues, you've any, just talk. What is your collection looking like at the present time?
Yeah, so right now I've got a bit of a mixture of collection for sure. So as I said, I've got the 17 6 scale. I now have, a quick look, about 8 of the 6-inch Batman the Animated Series figure lines. I've got like all of the old Ninja Turtles. So I want to actually do a video at some point of like my original Ninja Turtles from like the 90s and the early 2000s, because some of them are really cool, and I just don't have them necessarily on display. I've also got quite a comic collection, so I've got a ton of the Jim Lee X-Men comic books, as well as Wolverine, quite a lot of Wolverine comics. And I'm starting to branch out. I've started reading a little bit more of the Moon Knight, and I love, the 90s Ninja Turtles, the X-Men, Batman, like all of those just have such like a place in my heart. So I have a little bit of kind of all of those in my collection. Now, in terms of pre-orders, I stopped pre-ordering last year. So I used to get into this kind of slippery slope where I had a bunch of payments, and it's funny, the last pre-order that I had was actually for Venom about 6 months ago. And the reason that I stopped pre-ordering was, like we talked about a little bit earlier, I felt a little bit burned. I'd pre-ordered the Venom, I was waiting, I was starting to pay him off, or I was about to start paying him off, and then boom, Hot Toys comes out with a Venom 2.0 with an Eddie Brock head sculpt, and I was like, well, like, what the heck? I've been waiting all this time. Now they've kind of released this improved version. They had just done that with the Beskar Mando versus the Chrome Mando. And I mean, even the Chrome Mando was basically like, look how much better Chrome Mando is than Beskar in their advertisement for the figure, which was crazy.
Very true.
And so those two examples for me, in terms of at least 6 scale, made me go, no, I don't think I need to pre-order anymore. Now, I will tell you that I almost waffled on that a little bit when I saw the Scarlet Witch from the Multiverse of Madness come out with her candle diorama and stuff. I think she's an amazing looking figure. I actually really liked that film quite a lot. I know it's kind of divisive. Not everybody liked it, which is cool. That's just the way she goes when it comes to those types of movies, right? But for me, I'm like, that is a Wanda that I want in my collection. And so I had almost pre-ordered her, and then I decided not to. Because again, I think I love your shirt, because like I feel like we're in that age now of everybody used to pre-order, and now we're kind of waffling on that. It's not necessarily required anymore. But what I do,
I totally wear the shirt. Sorry to interrupt you.
No worries.
I totally wear the shirts ironically. Number one, I love the 6 scale scavengers.
Yeah.
They were so easy to listen to. They were probably the first guys, because the streams here live are like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They were probably the first 6 scale content creators, streamers that I stayed up late for, specifically to watch them during the pandemic. at a time when, like, we were in full lockdown. You couldn't go anywhere. So I was living with myself and Megan. You weren't even allowed to go 5 kilometers outside your house. So if I had to exercise, I was running the same loops. The gyms were closed. I couldn't go for a pint. The same as a lot of people. And it was like having friends in your living room who were into the same stuff. They responded to
100%.
comments. And it was like, it was a breath of fresh air. I felt connected to people who were into the same thing. And I will never forget that. And it was such a buzz watching them. Used to have my pint, and I didn't feel like disconnected at a time when a lot of people felt disconnected. Yeah. So like I have like 4 other shirts, but I wear the Dopo thing. I really don't Dopo anything because there's no need to. But that 1989 Batman or a Zoe Kravitz, I will Dopo once the head sculpt on the Zoe Kravitz is good and stuff. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but continue on.
No worries. Did you see the third party Zoe Kravitz? Not
it's
so
awful. Let's be very respectful here, right?
Well, a little bit.
Zoe Kravitz is so beautiful. She looks like she was genetically made in a lab made out of pure beauty. She is a fantastic looking human. And
100%.
But besides that, take that out of it, she nailed that character. She was by no means forgettable. Like Michelle Pfeiffer was by no means forgettable. She nailed the character in her own way. Zoe Kravitz had the attitude, the talent, the camera presence, everything. She just nailed it. And the whole theme was the bat and the cat. Mm-hmm. They need to make that figure, otherwise something's really up. Like, you know what I mean?
They have to. They won't have. They have to. But it's going to be one of those figures that's super divisive, because if it's not like bang on, like if it doesn't look good, it's going to get ripped to shreds.
This is my point.
It's not going to be one that they can do an 8 out of 10 head sculpt on,
like
just at all.
She's not. You can't just go, yeah, she's beautiful. She is stunning. She is unique looking. They have to capture that, even if they get a 9. You know what I mean? But they cannot look like that third party. That's like 100%. If the head sculpt is good, I will Dopo that. I've said it on streams. I've said it multiple times. The head sculpt is not good. Yeah, I'll wait and see what it turns out like. But
I might also shift as well and day one pre-order the 89 Batman, the re-release the 89 that they're doing. Because I've wanted that one in my figure collection for so long. You know, like I'm old enough now. Like again, I'm probably aging myself, but I remember that movie like clockwork as a kid. I used to watch it all the time, and like for me, like that is a Batman that I absolutely need. I like the yellow belt. Even though in the new Flashpoint movie that they're coming out with at some point, they've kind of shown images of this new looking suit for Keaton and stuff, which is fine. Like he's obviously evolved. He's gone through his own level of transition, and they took away his yellow belt, it looks like, in the promo images for that new suit for Keaton. I think that's kind of disappointing. I like the yellow belt and the yellow symbol and stuff. I get it. It's not good for crime fighting in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what's that yellow belt running at me for? You know? But at the same time, again, it's still just like such a classic. But going back to pre-ordering, what I definitely do instead
Sorry, just before you continue on, I went and watched the 1989 Batman last night again. I've seen it like a million times. It was the first film I like truly fell in love with. And man, it still holds up. I just love the film. Bale's still my Batman, but that nostalgia factor and the way Burton directs in such a way that it looks like a comic book,
100%.
I just loved it.
And how dark was Returns too, right? Like I remember seeing Returns as a kid, and the Penguin freaking terrified me back then, dude. Even the guy, like when he gets electrocuted at the end and you see like his head's like his like skeleton face with his like white hair and shit. It was crazy. What's his name?
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken. Yeah, but I'm sure that Max something, I can't remember now. Anyways, crazy movie, right? So then it's funny that we're on the topic just quickly, because the boys over at Collecting Weekly, we do a movie of the week every Tuesday night. And Marco, our buddy from 16 Fix, he chose Batman Forever last week. And then I think strategically wasn't on the show on Tuesday night last week when we had to then actually talk about the film. And
he shafted you.
Right?
Absolutely shafted me.
He apologized to us in the text messages, because he's like, I'm sorry, boys, this isn't as good as I remember. I actually still like that movie, but again, I think it's the nostalgia kick for me. I was still a pretty young guy when I watched those films back in the day, but then I was kind of lovingly bullied into choosing Batman and Robin for the movie of the week this week, and that is a pretty rough
Cool
film
off.
to watch. Cool off, exactly.
In fairness, like I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is a good actor. I really don't. His best roles, I think, were the Terminator because he's playing a robot, so it's perfect. Like
But
Terminator 1 and 2.
But would you get his Mr. Freeze if it came out as a 6 scale?
No,
I might honestly. I think it would be cool. I don't know, but hey, if you're gonna get Codpiece Robin from Batman Forever, you can get yourself a blue. A blue. I'm not getting that one either. That's amazing.
I just want like, I surely someone on YouTube has put together like a long an edit of all of Arnie's cheesy phrases. Like, don't get me wrong, because I love
100%.
like Terminator 1 and 2. I just don't think they make science fiction films like that anymore. They were like raw. They were not for kids. Like they were dark. It's like RoboCop, not for kids. Like, but Terminator 1 and 2, there's something so special about those films. Still like the Predator, but like when it comes to like as in his acting prowess, I'm like, yeah, it's more his. I admire his, like, he had this goal when he was a kid living in Austria as like, I want to be Mr. Universe or whatever, and then he used that to his advantage, and he is the Terminator. He was like, 100%. It's scary. He portrayed that part so well. It was made for him. But I think it's funny because I do watch that show. I watch it on the Rewind usually. The Tuesday Night Collecting Weekly, and I always find it really easy to listen to. Very interesting, very insightful, great panels, good personalities, and all that kind of stuff. But it's made me go back and rewatch some of my favorite films. I take offense to how much he did not like The Departed. Man, I was listening to it going, no, it just got me because it's like I love The Departed, but like all those films. I think you watch Goodfellas, Casino, top notch stuff.
So many lately, so many
but
like
I'm not
old
watching
school, like
Batman
mobster,
Forever.
Gangster. You know what? Batman Forever's not too bad. The Batman and Robin, even I might just watch the post credits on that one again because it's been like the Batman Visa card and all the good stuff. Like
Never leave home without it.
Never leave home without it. Quickly back to your pre-order question. Oh yes, where they like randomly skates come out of their body. They play hockey with the guys. It was a crazy. That made for kids though, right? I think. But the Batman Forever Batmobile, I remember having that as a toy as a kid, and that was like one of my favorite like figure toys to play with back then. So there's love and hate. There's definitely love and hate for it. Back to your.
I'm guessing
pre-order.
you're like early 30s, are you?
I'm 35. So
you're 35. All right. All right. But you look younger, man. Yeah, you must moisturize. Must be
no
that
kids.
Canadian air.
No kids, only cats.
Yeah. We can definitely we've common ground there. But like I'm 38, so it was like when they changed the Batmobile, I was like, what? And then I realized, oh, it's not the same director or when I was a kid, man who makes films. So I was like, all right, that's why it's different. It's not Michael Keaton. So I was I remember being a bit sad about that because I was a kid, whatever. But at the back of my mind though, I always wanted to see, because I'm a logical thinker, like I'm a science teacher, that's what I do, and I was like, the whole concept is ridiculous. You have this really rich guy who goes out and fights crime. How would that even work? How would that work in a real world? And enter Christopher Nolan, and I was like, oh, this is magnificent. Like the way he put it together, and kind of 100%. This almost got you thinking that this could actually in somehow way work in a real world. It was just and
I would say that the Batman, even with like the newest film, the Batman, I thought was a pretty good, like, okay, I could see this actually being a real world. Like they did that well too.
Ben, I still remember the day that film was announced officially, and they said that Robert Pattinson was going to be playing Batman, and that Colin Farrell, one of our own, was going to be the Penguin. And I was driving to work, and I was like, another one. No one needs another Batman film. Would you just let it die? And I was just so wrong. I just realized that they can just keep making Batman films. I'll keep going to see them. I mightn't like them all, but
Yeah.
it was good. I hope he gets a trilogy. I
For
definitely
me,
will.
it still doesn't have the rewatchability of The Dark Knight for me. Like, I remember seeing The Dark Knight in film, or sorry, I should say in theaters. I think it was like 12 or 13 times. Like, my buddies and I just kept going back. We did one day where we did, I think, 2 or 3 screenings like in one day. We would just go out to the car after, have a snack, have a smoke, and go back in and rewatch it again. And it was a good time, man, back then, right? But I get the part of that's nostalgia of being young too, I think, maybe. But as much as I like this film, I've now seen, like, the Batman film, I've seen it 3 times now, and now I'm like, okay, I can wait for a while now. I don't need to see it again for a bit, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with you on that. And I will say the only other thing, back to kind of the present, your question earlier about pre-ordering, is that even though I don't pre-order necessarily now, now I've changed my approach, and instead of kind of having my money locked in with Sideshow or locked in with a company, I have a bank account specifically for my collecting. So, every month, Sean and I give ourselves just a little bit of an allowance. We pay all of our bills, we do all of our life accountability stuff first, and then we cut each other a little bit of allowance, and that is meant to be basically fun money. Like, if you want to throw it off the balcony, donate it, or buy toys, like, you go to town, you do what you want with that money. And it's made it so that, like, even yesterday when I bought Venom, like, that he was expensive, quite expensive. I still called her to be like, hey, like, I'm thinking about getting this figure. She was like, well, do you have the funds for it? I'm like, yeah, get it, have fun, enjoy it. I'll see it when you get home, sort of thing. And I thought, like,
But don't come crying to me when you've no
me.
money at the end of the month.
Well, that's it, right? It's made collecting more enjoyable, though, because then it also means that, like, if something comes along, because everybody has a little bit of FOMO, but I also sometimes, like, you don't know what you want until you see something that you want more, right? And so it's like, I might want that right now, but then something comes out and it's like, well, now I kind of want that more. For me, I can use that money to kind of put towards where I'm trying to get my collection to. As much as I liked, as I said, the Doctor Strange film, like, I really like that Wanda. I think I want to get that Wanda. The Doctor Strange is kind of pricey. I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to pay that kind of money, but now we're seeing this 89 Batman coming out again, and I'm like, ooh, right? So I think that it's choosing a direction for the collection, and choosing a direction for how I want my basement to become is kind of my present, and probably going into my future. Spoilers.
And that's a nice. We're at a good point there, because we've discussed a lot of finances there in a way with the pre-orders, and just a comment that I have displayed there. Anthony Wagstaff. First of all, thank you very much for watching, Anthony. Second of all, I noticed I saw you sub to me today. I really appreciate that notification. I do appreciate the fact that you clicked that subscribe button. I've looked at some of your comments here, so I'm addressing you specifically here, that you have been collecting for 10 months, and you said you probably spent 6K over the last few months on them. You were talking about cable. I ordered cable like when Christ was a boy, and I keep getting these delays. So apparently the latest email said he will be shipped from Sideshow, because it's my second last pre-order I have with Sideshow. I have pre-orders with other companies that are cheaper, but anywhere between October to December. Anytime I get those emails, Anthony, I always assume the latest ones. I'd imagine you're talking December, maybe even January. So it's like hope for the best, expect the worst. On the whole thing about the 6K thing, and you're only in the game 10 months, look, I will never tell anyone what to do with their collection, because at the end of the day, if someone tells me what to do, they're not going to go to work and earn money for me. So what I offer on my channel, and I'm sure what a lot of people that I follow, what they offer is their own experience and their insight. If you're pre-ordering a lot, the advantage is you lock that in, but the disadvantage is when these things get discounted on other retailers, you miss out on possibly getting it cheaper. So maybe just have a think about that, and maybe have a think about the things you have ordered and you really, really love them and you really want it, because it can get out of control very, very quickly. And people end up selling things and taking a loss and all that kind of stuff. So my one bit of advice would be, if you're new to the game, these things don't tell to sell out. There was a time when they did, but currently in this climate, they're not really selling out. They're doing the opposite. They're being overproduced. They're sitting, and very quickly after retail, within a few months, you see them in the bargain bin. So and it's not there's anything wrong with the figures, it's just that's the way that the market is going currently. So maybe have a think about that. And again, maybe like I'm way off the mark here, and I don't want to. I'm definitely not telling anyone what to do, but just from my own personal experience, uh, these things they tend to hit the bargain bin. Do you want to add anything there, Ben, or would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. The one thing that upset me recently, and I actually got pretty heated with John about this on Collecting Weekly last week, was about the exclusive Boba Fett that just recently came out, and then like basically immediately sold out. And there was a lot of hype around that figure, and people were buying him, and now he's going like already like people are already selling him for like $800 and $900 online, like kind of double the cost of what he was to just pick him up, and it created this whole fear of missing out, right? I mean, for folks, but it's the first time I've seen that in a while. I feel like for figures, for a longest time, I agree with you. Some of these figures end up sitting on the shelf for a long period of time, and they're not necessarily retaining some of the value. But I do think that Hot Toys needs to reevaluate how they see an exclusive, how they see a DX release,
Yes.
how they see a deluxe release, like redefine that for people, because I saw that Boba Fett and I was like, it's cool. I really like it. And I would love to add it to my collection because I'm definitely a Boba Fett guy. But I'm going to wait because like he'll probably sit for a little bit. And then boom, he sells out. And I'm like, okay, well, what the heck? Like, I'm not paying these crazy aftermarket prices. And I was challenged by John because he felt like, well, it says exclusive. So, I mean, this is how it should go. And not that I disagree with that, but I think the part of it that upset me was that if you're a budget collector, if you're somebody that has to save your money for your figures, and you try and plan your collection, that took that ability away. Now, it's still a premium hobby, right? I mean, even 6-scale collecting, it's not for everybody. It's not it. When I got into it, I didn't know anybody that collected 6-scale figures. It's definitely a premium hobby, and I don't think it should be like a capitalist environment where everybody should be able to afford Hot Toys and all that stuff all the time. I don't think. Sometimes it's just you first come first serve. You snooze, you lose, right? And I'm okay with that. But I do think if Hot Toys is going to start doing exclusives and creating that fear of missing out, they need to either start numbering their collections, or they need to really reiterate that, hey, if this is a Sideshow exclusive, it means we're only making X amount, so get your order in, or you snooze, you lose. Because again, for guys like me who would probably have definitely bought that figure at this point, I've now missed out, and I could have afforded it. I just was choosing to wait, but it was mixed messaging. So it's hard, because if you are a channel member or a subscriber, I often have a hard time being negative about the things that I'm talking about or reviewing, because I love all of the things that I bring into my collection. I bring it in a purpose, and so I have a hard time being sometimes
that's
critical.
The thing. Like you're not getting like gifted things to review, because if you were given everything to review, there'd be some things you're like, yeah, I just don't really like this character, so naturally you'd be biased going, so therefore I don't like this figure. Like
exactly.
So,
but for the people in the chat, though, I'd say the cautionary tale is, like, when you're watching guys like us or other YouTube reviewers and stuff, like, still take what they say with a grain of salt, but don't necessarily let their excitement drive your purchases. I still say, and I think it might be a rip from Jetta Patrol even, but buy what you like, right? Like, buy what you like. Don't buy what I like. Don't buy it because I think the animated series Batman figures are cool, and I'm willing to spend a couple $100 to collect them all. But I don't expect everybody else to do it. I just want them to enjoy it if they think it's cool, and if I can help them find some, cool. And if not, then just enjoy it as content, right? Don't necessarily, because I think, we only get a little bit of gratification out of posting, hey, I just, picked this figure up on Facebook, for the groups and stuff like that, but most people kind of skim past those and don't ever notice. It's you that ends up with that figure in your collection, and if you don't truly love it, you'll end up selling it and potentially taking a loss on it. And I think that's kind of what you're saying, right? Is that, if some of these hit the bargain bin, you've spent all this money, just be careful. Just like really truly want it or don't. I succumbed to FOMO, and I bought the Batman Beyond figure, the video game series. And as cool as that figure was, don't get me wrong, he was wicked. And for some figure collections, I'm sure he's like amazing in. He did not fit my figure collection at all. He just wasn't movie realistic because he's a video game character. And so he was head and shoulders above my DX12, head and shoulders above things like my Mando and stuff, but not in a cool way, not like a Venom way where like Venom's supposed to be that big. He just didn't fit, and I ended up selling him, and I took a loss on it. But I bought him because I kept watching the reviews, and this is before I streamed. I kept watching the reviews, and everybody was like, you know, buy him because he's cool, and you're gonna miss out, and all of these things. And then you can still get him. You can still get him.
Yeah.
So you know, and I took a loss on it, right? So it was a long-winded answer to your question, but
like I think no, I completely agree with you. I think like definitely. At the end of the day, like Jetta's catchphrase is, it simplifies it really. Just collect what you like. I'd even go a step further because there's a lot of things I like and a lot of things that I think that are cool that I pass on to get the things that I love. Like, so yeah, it's like at the end of the day, like I described earlier on how every time I see that Mark 6, I get that little hit of dopamine. Like there's very little figures in my collection that I don't get that hit. Like, and you're talking to like a man who's only ever sold 4 figures, and you know, I'll just give you like say 3 of them off the top of my head. The DX02, the first Ledger Joker, and the first Batman Begins. What do they all have in common, Ben? Like,
what do they all have in common?
Yeah,
that they're Batman, that
they're Dark Knight, and there's better versions out there.
That's fair.
So
I was like, did I miss something?
No. They're like, I sold the DX02 to essentially get the DX19. I took a loss.
Yeah.
I sold the Ledger Joker anticipating a Hot Toys 3.0 Ledger Joker, and then I got lucky and the in-art came out. And I sold the original Batman thinking, I think if they've done the DX19, they might actually do a Batman Begins version. And now they have. And I'm waiting to see if they fix that neck because it's not right. I'm going to go through some of these chats here. Nick's Collectibles. I streamed with Nick the other day. He was on Riley's channel. He says a lot of pre-orders get nullified by the same character getting another version of them made before the first one has been released.
That's actually an amazing point. The Doctor Stranges. Even like that. How many Doctor Stranges have there been? We
7 million.
Got that. Yeah, we hadn't even got the previous version of the Doctor Strange when the new one released. So it's like, that's an amazing point.
The Beskar Chrome Mando and the one I have here behind me. And there was another one as well we were speaking about earlier on, but like Wanda, you know? And there's another one we were speaking about earlier on.
And even Venom. Venom is a classic. If you want the Eddie Brock head sculpt, then the first Venom is not for you. Or you have to buy the Carnage and get the like I think it's the deluxe edition that comes with the bust and the Eddie Brock head sculpt. Right?
Exactly.
So, but that forces you to like you have to buy another figure in order to complete a different figure. That's tricky.
Build a figure.
That's tricky.
Yeah.
Build a figure.
So Anthony says I'm new, so there was loads I wanted to pick from, and they keep coming out. It's a slippery slope. It's definitely a slippery slope. I only pre-order when the figure gets released in China. That's good because you always get to see what the final product's like. And I put it on a payment plan. I love payment plans, split them out with Sideshow. And I'm not a big Sideshow guy, but I only have the in-art Joker and Ahsoka statue on pre-order. Good stuff. That's a nice, clear pre-order list. I love to see it. I had to rein myself in, Tremble Dust said. Congrats, man. People say he's the best, or she's the best. Harley. William Owens. I don't do pre-orders. See, I know William Owens. He's been in the game a long time, and you notice a lot of these lads who are in the game a long time, they don't pre-order, because they just realize the stuff isn't going to sell out. I do place figures on payment plan, same as myself. I can better manage purchases. Yep. Listen to these guys; they know what they're talking about. Dopo lives on nostalgia, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else order Morbius? No, I did not order Morbius. I'm waiting on the Doc Ock to see when they fix the head sculpt, which they will. I'm waiting on the MCU Hobo Goblin, and I've no interest in the Carnage. What about these 4 here? Ben?
For me, I shouldn't say that. The Goblin definitely speaks to me. I thought about getting the Toys R Us one because I love the green suit. It played such a small part in No Way Home though, but I love the look of the figure, and so I'm kind of on the fence with it. Again though, I have to evolve my display. Because of the way that I'd want to display it on the glider, it would not fit in my current type of display setup. So I'm going to need to change my display before I start branching into more figures that take up more than 12 inches.
Floating
space.
shelves, man.
Floating shelves.
If you want to check out my video on the floating shelves, they're just so easy to install. They're classy looking, and you can put them if you have the space. If you have the right wall,
yep,
with a bit of imagination, they do look very well.
I've purposely got a couple of blank walls in here because I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet with it. But
blank walls are like blank canvases to an artist, to a collector, like, you know, as you want.
Literally.
Right, I'm way behind these chats. Sorry, man. I know
no
I sound like a serial killer, but Zoe has such great skin.
Mark Pearson is one of my favorite people. He's an awesome guy.
Mark Pearson, you're not wrong. Like, yeah, smooth as silk. Yep. Tremble Dust, waiting for Ock to release. Morbius looks cool, but wait for the sale. Waiting on Hobo Goblin, a man after my own heart. Anthony's back again. I did that with Thor. I ordered one, and they advertised Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah, so this is what Nick was saying as well. Cancelled. Then it says Thor 2024. Yeah, it's a waiting game, man. I'm getting 89, a new armory for sure. Dodged the bullets so far. Got the 92 Batman last week. Nice, congrats.
Ooh,
bro, I really dig the lighting in your collection room. People are really... man, I'm definitely feeling it as well. I love the way it's like just two different colors. It just looks amazing. Not a fan of the 89 Batman. Okay, Graham, we're going to have to bar you. Anyway, thanks for joining. That's all right. I'm guessing you're a bit of a... You're on the young side, Anthony. You're definitely not we're jealous of your youth. Like, it's usually us oldies who like that. Ordered Justice League and all, pre-ordered Cyborg. Ryan McCarthy, nostalgia can save a lot of movies. That is true, but the 89 was cutting edge for the time, and I definitely think it still holds up.
That might be in favor of the Batman Forever film, let's be honest. Where it's like, that's nostalgia. It's not that good of a movie, but I still enjoy it anyways. That's the way she goes. Eddie
Rodriguez says, what's up, you guys? Tremble Dust, Throbbin, I believe his name is. Ask for Blood. Predator was the best, was his best gun. Puns, is that puns, I mean? That's stick around, no doubt, or get to the chopper and all that kind of stuff. Like, Damon Zapf.
For him, though.
Yeah. Film noir and Batman is timeless, breathtaking to watch. A Freeze is coming. Conan is my favorite, Arnie. He didn't like The Departed, cancel him. I'm telling you, man, I don't know what they were on over there and collecting weekly that night. I love The Departed. I'm not a quap.
I thought it was a good film. I don't know. I'm surprised.
You know, I'm on Team Ben, man. That's what I'm saying.
I'm surprised.
So, Ryan Smith, how can anyone not like The Departed? Greyman is a good watch on Netflix. I saw it advertised. Definitely got to check that out. Dungeons and Dragons movie is coming. Shiny said, one thing a lot of YouTuber collectors have in common is really cool understanding partners. Yeah, I think so. Definitely. That's patient partners, I would say. Legends. Colin Farrell is one of my all-time actors. You should check out Intermission. It's an Irish film he does. It's quite funny. Seems like more popular characters are getting kicked out with priority and others are being put back in the back burner. Yeah, that is true. Phone Booth, yeah, another good movie. In Bruges, these are all brilliant Colin Farrell movies.
Oh my god, In Bruges, have you seen that film?
Yeah.
Where the guy gets knocked out of the balcony and splats on the ground below. That was like devastating to watch. Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and he knew he was in a tight spot. Actually, my favorite bit about that is it Ralph Fiennes is in it, and he gets really annoyed. He starts beating the crap out of the phone, and the wife says, "What are you doing? It's an inanimate object." And he goes, "You're an inanimate object." it's just so stupid, but it's hilarious. Seems anything with rolling eyes and a ton of accessories is considered a DX. Don't forget the foam. The foam is so important.
Oh my goodness,
that line seems kind of dead at this point. It's all about bang for your buck nowadays and how much collectors can get. That is true. Dead Man Down is also co-starring Numi Rapus. She was in Alien Prometheus. Yeah, good film. It grew on me. It definitely grew on me. It's not the same as the 1 and 2, but Carlito, a lot of people missed out on Arena Fett because they're used to figures sitting. That is probably true. That is. Would you agree with that, Ben? Or would you agree?
A lot of people missed out on the Arena Fett because they used figures. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it's the Arena Fett has gone to waitlist, and so has the shiny Star Wars Celebration Clone Trooper and Death Trooper, the Chrome Troopers. But they are exclusives, I suppose. Like the last figure I remember that went to waitlist and sideshow before it shipped regular figure was the Heavy Mando. I can't think of anyone before that, or sorry, since that.
But sorry to cut you off. I got the Two-Face 2.0 exclusive from 2019, and I got that thing like 3 years after it came out. It just sat forever. So that's why it's like that exclusive name to me doesn't mean anything unless they actually make it mean something. And this one particular time, it sold out, which is annoying because I think there are a lot of people out there that would have really liked to get it, or at least known that they had a more limited time to get it. I don't know. That's one thing that's bothering me lately.
Yeah, I think maybe you're a bit like me. I like to know the rules of the game. Like, say, okay, there's 10,000, there's 5,000, there's 1,000, or there's a time limit window. Like when InArt did the 3-day window, that should have been a 3-day window. But it wasn't. Sure. But I didn't order it because it was exclusive. I ordered it because it looks class. I don't care if it's a million of them. I don't care if everyone in my street has one. I really, really like it.
It's part of the reason I don't have a problem with reissues is because Hot Toys never said that they weren't going to reissue figures. They never put a numbered collection on them. They never said this. We're only ever going to make 5,000 of these and that is it, period. And now they're making them again. It's like, I'm okay with reissues because 10 years ago, I was an entirely different person. But there are 12-year-olds, 10 years ago who are now 22-year-old men who want to buy their favorite Batman. I think that's okay. I don't think that should upset old collectors. I understand that it can start to devalue your collection. I think that is the hardest pill to swallow, but I don't buy, personally anyways, I don't buy my collection for value. I buy it because I want to have that representation of the character. And I think if you're a person like me who wants to have that representation, you should be able to figure out a way to eventually get it. Whether you have to pay secondary prices or you just happen to get lucky and they reissue something that's cool as heck, like that 89 Batman.
Yeah. Anthony says, I'm 37, almost not so young. I do apologize. I thought you were a younger man. I couldn't believe someone of your vintage was speaking ill of the 89. I like the Joker, not so sure about the Batman. Think Justice League Batman is better. A lot of people are fan of Ben Affleck. He'd be my least favorite Batman now, but different strokes for different folks. It'd be a boring world for all the same. Damon Zapp says, dopamine hit, nice phrase. And it's actually pretty much exactly what it is. Anything you've ever enjoyed in life is a good old-fashioned dopamine. Is this your Shauna?
Yes, yeah.
Shauna. Hi, Shauna.
She's probably looking for the kitten. He's down here. He's napping on my lap.
Yeah. After a hyper boost after Yate, he fell asleep. But he's been very well behaved. Waiting for Obi-Wan Battle Damage Vader and Book of Boba Fett Tuskens. Reissues all the way, baby. Carlito says they did give a number for the Arena Fett in Hong Kong. It was about 300, not officially numbered. It was advertised for only 300. Interesting. Shiny. The InArt Gandalf, funnily enough, months after he was announced, it was tricky to find him, but it was available to pre-order. Yeah. Exactly in 2012. I was 13. I wanted the DX12 so bad. Now 10 years later, I'm proud to say good stuff. Nick, should Moon Knight come with the head sculpt? Yeah, it won't be coming with a head sculpt, this one anyway. Adam West would always be the definitive Batman. Yeah, there we go. Gotta love those bam, whack, pow. I've been ever so patiently waiting for the kitten or for the shout out. Because we can give you the shout.
Guaranteed for the kitten snuggles. Guaranteed the kitten snuggles. She can come down and get him anytime she wants. Yeah. As long as she's dressed. It's not that kind of stream. So.
At 28, I'm in between Batmans where Bale is my favorite, but I still have a place for Keaton. I get you. Yeah. I get you. Anyone getting the Boba Fett with the Throne? Well, personally, I'm not. What about you, Ben?
That's it's funny you say that. So that was
Yeah.
actually one that I did have pre-ordered, and I canceled it back when I stopped doing pre-orders. Having said that, I honestly think I still might get it at some point because I love the look of that throne, and I think 1/6 scale thrones, chairs, like furniture, stuff that you can just that
They don't
isn't
really
just your figure.
stuff.
Well, and it's just your figure is just not just standing there necessarily. Like, I've
Yeah.
got enough figures who need to stand. So the figures that can sit, I think are really, really cool. Like if you see in behind me here, like my DX11, he sits for two reasons. One, his ankles are weak as hell, so he doesn't stand very well by himself anymore, to be fully honest. But he also looks really badass in a chair. And I've got him actually handcuffed to his chair. So like it really just adds to that
It
scene.
works.
And I thought that scene at the end of Mando season 2 with Boba Fett and Fennec Shan was a badass scene, and it got me so pumped for the Boba Fett TV series, which was lukewarm. It had its moments, but if I were to like erase that from my mind, I'd be like, that is the Boba Fett that I'm really wanting to collect. Is that like how badass he was, not only in the scene that you've got behind you there, Shane, with the 2-pack, but then as I said, when he goes and clears out Jabba's palace and sits down on the throne, it's like, oh, we are on.
Man, that's exactly what should have happened, but like we don't have enough time to even talk about that. But you're 100% right, man. Like you can like I've got the Empire Strikes Back Boba because it's original trilogy and he was awesome, mysterious. And then when we saw him kicking ass in the Mandalorian, I was like, oh, this is good. And then the throne was like, oh man, come on. And like I was thinking, okay, I was at a kind of a turning point. I was going to get the 2-pack here any day of the week, especially after seeing episode 2 of Book of Boba Fett, because I actually really liked that particular episode. But I had this ordered like long before the Book of Boba Fett was even a thing, because this scene happened in Mando. He was badass in this scene. But the throne was like, if I wanted, I know I could compartmentalize and go, no, that's Boba Fett. I bought the throne because of that scene, absolutely, because it's branded Mandalorian. Yeah, but like I don't think I'm getting any more Bobas. I think I'm happy enough. I think I'm set.
Well, and for 1/6 scale for me, I try to capture moments, not necessarily just like figures, right? And so even like when I look at your collection behind, like so many people are saying like they're stealing that Spider-Man pose that you've got there, right? That Tom Holland pose, because like there is that iconic scene where he pulls off his mask and he's like exasperated, and it's right and it's intense. You know, the Boba Fett on throne, such an amazing scene. Joker, you know, from the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight. For me, like I had my Iron Man Mark 7 propped up when I first got him here, like on the shelf where Venom is, in that flying pose, that iconic flying pose from the Avengers scene as he's kind of landing when they're in the Battle of New York. Like capturing a moment with your 6 scale collection for me is one of my favorite parts. And
that's what it's all about, man. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of being part of the community and being on the different channels and getting to know all these guys is like, I want to start my own Facebook group, not because I care at all about becoming some kind of Facebook star. I want to be able to capture some, like, when I ask a question in my reviews, to be like, hey, do any of you guys collect these? Like, what does your collection look like? I would love to have a portal where people could like launch a picture in there and I could look at that later, because I think that is easily one of the best parts. And when I say live vicariously through other people's collections, I don't intend to necessarily buy every 6 scale that comes out, but if I can see some really cool ones, I will be stoked for that person 100%.
Exactly. And that actually brings us nicely to the next. There's actually one question. I've only asked you one of these questions, so I need to start throwing these out. So, right, there's one thing I'm going to bring it into. I'm going, no. It's actually it's great because it makes the conversation better. Could you, in like 1 minute or less, summarize your thoughts on reissues? I think I know what you're going to say, but go on. Do you like them, love them, or hate them, and why?
I like them because there is no defined rules on Hot Toys saying they were or were not going to reissue. And so again, I think if Hot Toys goes the way of statue collecting, where there is a defined release, a defined amount of figures or that are coming out, if they do a defined amount and then they were to reissue, that would piss me off. Because Hot Toys does not do that, It's the way she goes. And that is just the way she goes. It's a gamble. Hot Toys is still a business, and they need to make money in order to take gambles on other figures that may or may not be as popular as well, right? Like, you think about it, there are a lot of Hot Toys figures out there that are not necessarily banger releases, but there are still those collectors out there that want those figures, like the Morbius that just came out. I'm not sure if that's a contractual obligation, or if whoever at Hot Toys thinks it's a cool figure or movie. Who knows? But that's a gamble. That might be a hard bargain bin, a figure at some point, right? So if they lose money on that figure, they need to recollect that money somewhere else. They are a business after all. But again,
Man,
I think they
I
need to redefine that, though. They need to say, we never said we weren't going to reissue, so stop complaining about it. And oh, by the way, this is an exclusive release, and there are only 300, or there are only 5,000, or whatever, and make it defined for people. And I think it would take a lot of that bad experience out of people's mouths, because then they would know, like you said, the rules of engagement and go from there. But I am for reissues, because if it weren't for reissues, I wouldn't have necessarily some of the figures that I even have now. So.
Completely agree. And like, again, the proof's in the pudding. When they inevitably reissue my own Grail, or whatever you want to call it, I hate saying that word. I cringe and die inside every time I say it. I don't like it. But when they do inevitably reissue that Mark 6 in 6 scale, a lot of people are clamoring for. I'll be happy for the people that haven't had a chance to get it, because I collect, because I love the stuff. Look, if I want to make money, I'll invest in stocks or whatever. So you only have to say yes or no. Okay. Marco struggled with this. So I'm going to name something that was announced during the last week or two. As in, not announced, it was showcased. That hasn't gone up for pre-order yet. Okay. And you're just going to say yes if you think it will go up for pre-order, and we will have an opportunity to buy it. Collectors will actually have an opportunity to pre-order it. No if you think, no, that's not going to go up. So you don't have to give any reasoning, don't have to explain, just yes or no. So yes or no, will they put the following up for pre-order? The 1989 Batwing.
The Batwing?
The 1/12th Batwing that they teased last week.
No.
The N1/16 scale Starfighter.
Yes.
Ooh. The quarter scale battle damaged Mark 6.
No.
Oh, that one hurt, Ben. The Vulture.
Also no.
Ooh, even after the tease, that's interesting. Cobb Vanth.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. All right.
That is hard to not provide explanation. I can see why Marco struggled with that.
That is part of it. I'm the same type of person. I like to say, this is what I think, and bang, bang, bang. It's the science teacher in me. That's just the way it is. I don't like making sweeping. I don't like hot takes unless I can back them up with some sort of.
It would be fun though. It would be fun for you to track what our answers were, so that we could do maybe a group stream at the end of the year or next year to be like, you were right or wrong, and we could win a prize off of who was right or who was wrong.
I might do that, because I have yet to delete any of my streams, and I'm coming up on the I meant to ask someone who streams a lot, in terms of deleting recordings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I might keep the ones that I've asked that question on, but you've been put under pressure here. What's the one figure that Hot Toys has released in the past, right, that you don't have, but you don't think they're going to reissue? So a figure that they have done in the past that you don't have in your collection that you want, but you really don't think, yeah, that's not happening. What is the one figure?
I think just one. I can only answer one.
Just one.
Shoot. Then I'd have to go with the 92 Batman.
Okay.
The Batman
good
Returns
stuff.
Batman.
Right. Good stuff. So we're going to go into the future of your collecting journey now. We've talked about the past, how it started. I'm not going to lie. This whole live stream is a result of that meme, how it started, how it's going. So I just saw one. There's yeah, that makes sense. So we've established how it started and how it's going, but this is the hard one. So I'm gonna warm you up with a few questions. Do you still see yourself collecting 1/6 scale or collecting in general in 5 years' time?
Yes.
Definitely. In 10 years' time?
Yes.
in some capacity, maybe reduced, maybe not with a channel, but maybe minimizing collection, or in some capacity until the day you die.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so what's your vision? Hence the name of the show. Like, what is your vision into the future? Like, what is your ideal setup for your ideal display in your space you're in right now? Or maybe you see yourself moving in the future to another. Would you say you're in your forever home, or would you foresee another move? Or
We'll probably have another move. Like this is an amazing home, but yeah, we'll probably upscale it somewhat because I do want a bigger basement, a bigger display room.
Aha, so you're already thinking about that. Okay,
Right.
Talk us through your bigger basement, your bigger display room. What does it look like? How many 6 scales you see? What kind of displays are you using? Are you using DTOFs, module cases, a combination of everything? Is there statues? Is there quarter scales? Go for it.
So I don't envision myself getting into statues or even quarter scale. I think, like, for as much as I like this Venom that I just got, he's already pushing the size limit for me. And not that quantity over quality necessarily, because I do think that some quarter scales and statues have insane quality associated with them. In my opinion, they just take up too much space. I would still rather see more of the characters that I like, as opposed to having to take up so much real estate for them. So quarter scale statues, I don't see myself slipping down that line. In terms of my ideal or vision for my collection in the future, there's a couple of franchises that resonate with me the most. So I would love to have a dedicated Batman display. So that's from the Nolan films, it's from the animated series, and like the 89 and 92 Batman films. I wasn't a huge Batfleck fan, so I would probably miss on that one. I didn't like the fact that he shot people with a gun. That bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not a Batfleck fan at all, despite the fact that I do have the armored one.
There you fair enough. And it's still cool figures though, let's be honest, right? I mean,
the reason is because I've read The Dark Knight Returns and I loved it, and I've watched the animated version of that, and I actually thought when the boys eventually fought in Batman vs Superman, that was quite good.
That was cool. Cool to see. But I would want a Batman display with all of my favorite Batman characters, whether that's an animated series or depending on the movie universe. I've always been a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan, so I would like to have a display dedicated to my Star Wars collection, a Star Trek display with Exo-6. I've been a little lukewarm on some of the releases that they've come out with, but I'm really crossing my finger for the future of that company, that they continue to grow and get better and still maintain relatively reasonable pricing. Because Star Trek, I'm just a Trekkie at heart. I just always have been, so I would love to have a Star Trek display. And then similarly with Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel characters in general. I've always loved Marvel, and I would want to collect my favorite Marvel collections. Now, in terms of my display themselves, I envision walls of either Billy's or something that likely has some level of glass door attached to it, because I have cats.
Would you say some level of
glass doors or glass front or something that's not necessarily as open as exposed as these are?
Gotcha. I'm with you. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts about display like this is that I can walk up no matter what time of day it is and tweak a pose, move an accessory, stuff like that. But just because I can touch it as easily means that the cats can as well. Don't want that, so it's still expensive. But I don't love modu cases. I don't love the cost of modu cases, especially. I think of all the things that I could buy with the price of like one modu case, and it hurts my soul. I think that there are so many amazing displays out there in the world, and creative displays that people have done for so much less money. I feel like modu case is like the hot thing at the moment, but it won't always be the forever way to display.
That's true, man.
And I like having like two as much. I love your display. I would say 2 per square for me is kind of like my maximum. Like anything more than 2 figures in one area to me feel cluttered, and
True.
they detract from the coolness to me of the
True. And you know what? I find I don't use stands. You don't use stands either, do you?
No, I don't use stands.
I find getting rid of the stands maximizes space and makes it look cleaner. also your
100%.
pose and who you choose to pose, who those two figures are, it has to kind of make sense. Like Black
Yes.
Widow and Yelena, or like
Yeah, right.
the two lads. I know they're the same person here, but it doesn't make sense for them together. What I was thinking as well is like, if you like, where do you put the two? For example, let's say I have one figure in each of these details. So there's 5 details. That's 20.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the middle one, being an odd number, so if
Mm-hmm.
you put one, say like where the Mark 6 is there, that's like middle detail at the top. So if I go down then to Mysterio, and let's say if you have 2 figures here,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 figures here, and 2 figures here, so you have it like a V where the 2 figures are, that will look more symmetrical. It
Yeah,
will still
100%.
work a lot better because you have your 2 figures, but there's still like a V pattern going. I think that will look really, really nice going into the future. Sorry, it's just a side thought, but
No, yeah,
that's
no, for
interesting the way
sure.
you mentioned about the 2 thing.
Yeah. So as I said, so Batman, a Batman setup, a Star Wars setup, a Marvel setup, a Star Trek setup, and then a random setup. And the random
Mhm.
setup would have guys like my Marty McFly and Doc Brown that I want to get when he comes out. I've got the 3-0 Power Ranger. I was a big Power Ranger fan as a kid. I loved the Green Ranger Tommy. So I've got the Green Ranger in my collection. Like some of the random collection. What else do I've got there? Oh, I've got the So Toys CW Flash. Like
Mhm.
some random collection of figures, but not. And I guess I should correct myself because I think earlier I said I only had an X06, but then the rest were Hot Toys. That's not true. I apologize to everybody listening because I do have that, as I said, the 3-0 Ranger and the Toys Flash. So just again, I would want to have like a random assortment, that the ones that don't necessarily pair together but still resonate with that nostalgia in my heart, right?
Gotcha.
And I think, yeah, and I think that would be kind of the way it would go. But I don't think I would do the module case. I would want to stick to something slim, and something that I could be pretty strategic about. I think the problem with that is, like you said, when you say, can you picture yourself collecting until 10 years or till death? It's like, well, geez, like, if you live till 80 and I buy 3 or 4 figures a year, like, you start doing the
Yeah,
math on that and you go, okay,
exactly.
maybe I have to get something like a module case because I
Yeah.
wouldn't like it. Where do you put them all, right?
Hmm.
Like when you get to that stage. So maybe ask me in 5 years. Let's stay friends. Let's ask me in 5 years and see how
Yeah.
that maybe evolves, right? Because
We'll
I
check
think,
in. We can have our own self-help group.
yeah, and I think for all the collectors that I've got to know over time, I think the smartest collectors to me are the ones that are willing to be flexible. You have to have a plan in mind, but you need to also be able to kind of flex that plan and change with the times, because I have no idea what other cool movies are going to come out in the future. I collect a lot of nostalgia stuff, but then there are films like The Batman from Pattinson that came out, and then all of a sudden I want a Selena Kyle and I want a new Batman,
Yeah.
right? Like, I have no idea what content is going to come in the future.
Nope.
So
Get some
if
random
I,
music, random movie like The Matrix of 2025, and it's like, wow, this looks amazing.
hopefully it would be better than the last Matrix film.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. As in, like, I don't mean The Matrix, but you know what I mean. As in
yeah,
some,
no, true.
like,
Something of that caliber
I,
of film.
I genuinely think what the first Matrix film is one of the best films ever made, man. It's just I was hyped. It was summer '99. And I was hyped for episode 1, and
Yeah.
unassumingly, and like sometime in May before episode 1 came out, I went in to see it. This film called The Matrix. I'd seen
Hmm.
the trailer. It looked really cool, and I was like, I thought this is going to be a banger film. I just had it at the back of my head, and I knew very little about it. Oh
Yeah.
man, just such a banger film. All right, so this is number 4 out of 5. We discussed the past, we discussed the present, we discussed the future. This is going to be your 4th focus question. So I'm going to get your thoughts on some of these things. So just a few things. These are like my picks. I made a really biased video today. It was just, the thumbnail was just this thumbnail here, where SDCC, San Diego Comic Con. I just picked out the things I liked. It was such a biased video, but it's one of your thoughts on some of these points. Actually, the vulture, pure clickbait, doesn't actually appear in this video at all. I rarely do that, but that was a mistake on my part. So what do you think of this? Because I went looking today on The Dark Knight Rises, and it's if you're looking for this, it's 40 minutes in. It's actually 39 minutes 51 seconds. This rises out of the ground, and it's the conversation between Bruce Wayne and Alfred about how, Look at how Bane moves. He's faster than you. He's a young man. He fights. You don't have that anymore. You're old. You're past it. Don't do it. And Bruce Wayne's ignoring him basically. But this thing comes up from like a waterfall, and it looks a lot more glassy, a lot more transparent. This I was hyped for, but this kind of looks like a Tupperware lunchbox, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't love this, to be fully honest. It's not one that I feel like I need in my collection. Iconic scene. He wasn't wearing this outfit in that scene either, though, was he? I think
No, he was wearing a black
I think he was
t-shirt.
wearing. Okay, yeah. So,
Black t-shirt.
and he's like working on his gear and stuff, and so it's a mixture of a couple of scenes. I think, if anything, I liked the way that the Armory Batman set looked from the past, where you got to see the whole armory setup of all of his accessories and gear, right? That was pretty cool. Like I said to you earlier, I've had the Christian Bale head sculpt from the DX12 sitting in a box for a decade, not knowing what to do with it. So I've wanted to put it on a suit like this and basically recreate this, at least this figure, not necessarily with the background.
Because the figure looks great.
Figure
head
looks
sculpt,
great.
Tailoring,
Yep,
Kane.
all of that
looks great.
All good stuff. It's still not like that badass though, you know. Like I still try to have something that I'm like, I really like that look. I really like that time in the movie, or I want to really recreate that scene. And him walking around with a cane in The Dark Knight Rises, to me is well, it shows his age. It shows that he's not
Injured,
a superhuman.
falling apart.
He's injured. He's falling apart. And it's not the Batman that I necessarily want, or the Bruce Wayne, I should say, representation that I want to have in my collection. So this one would be a pass for me, even if it does come out for sure.
You know what though? Here's a little penny for your thoughts on this. Have you ever seen The Prestige?
Oh yeah, great film. Great film.
Do you remember the scene where, obviously, these magicians, it's all about misdirection?
Mm-hmm.
And you remember the scene with the old, I think it's a Japanese guy, an old Japanese man who walks very slow and frail. And the whole thing is that they say, that's the show, that's the deception. He's not actually that old and frail. He does that so he can carry this bowl, which is part of the trick. Mm-hmm. I don't know how injured Bruce Wayne was in The Dark Knight Rises. I know he has the knee strap and everything, but he's not an old man. He's like in his late 30s, maybe early 40s. I think he's supposed to be late 30s in it. I know he's injured. I know he's beat up, but I reckon part of that came.
He fell off like it was like a 4-story building or something.
I suppose there's that. yeah. But I wonder was the cane part of, like, was it just he's injured and the knee strap completely solves him, or were they a bit of a prestige going on there? I'm going to give an impression just to throw everyone off to them. Definitely not Batman. I'm reaching. I'm Halo reach.
I like the thought. I feel like that's reaching only a little bit, because I feel like he really only carried his cane in front of Selena Kyle, his doctor, and Alfred.
That's
and
true.
For all of three of those people, I don't think he would need to necessarily put a show on. Maybe Selena Kyle, because he immediately was able to track her down after she sold the necklace. Right.
It's a bit of a Halo reach. I would have liked to work that angle in. But, because it would have been cool, because the two of them are Nolan films. It would have been like an Easter egg there. I think I
do like the idea though, because again, with the Prestige, that was 100% the case, and that was one of those like bomb drops where you're like, wow, like didn't see that coming, right? So 100%.
Is there any chance they'll reshoot The Dark Knight Rises just to put that in there for me? Funny story, Christian Bale actually recently came out and said that he would play Batman again, but only if Christopher Nolan decided to do a fourth installment. So Christian Bale said, yeah, he would play Batman again, but the only situation he would even think about that is if Christopher Nolan was at the helm and he would do a fourth installment. How would you feel about that?
Oh man, I'm so split on that, because I'm split because the Dark Knight film and the Dark Knight trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. If you asked me about almost any other line at the moment, or like film release, I would say I wouldn't want it at this point. I want Hollywood and films to start coming up with some original ideas again.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get sick of, seeing all these Jurassic Parks and Ghostbusters and Matrix,
The nostalgia, the
Batman,
nostalgia cash in,
and
yeah.
Back to the Future. If they do a Back to the Future 4 with Marty, who's like older than he would have been when he traveled to the future, and like there's cool aspects of all of it. Like, I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. I was blown away by how much I actually liked that film, because I was pretty like anti, like, we don't need another at this point. Like, what are you trying to do, right? But then there are films like The Matrix 4, which I really didn't enjoy. And so I would be worried. See you later, Anthony. I would be worried that they would try and make a fourth one and it just wouldn't stick the landing, and it would detract from how much I love that original trilogy. Just like Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I loved the first 3 Indiana Jones films. And then you see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it's like it is literally watching a 70-year-old man run around trying to be, and he looked frail, and it was just hard to watch, and it was just not as badass as Indy once was.
And aliens.
Aliens, like, there is, as I mean, like, they keep going back to the old nostalgia well for all the films lately, but I feel like they're not coming out with much new stuff, which is one of the reasons that I liked the Pattinson Batman film, because it still felt like a different universe take on a character, at least, that I really like. And so, long answer to your question, if they could do it and stick the landing, I would 100% watch it, and I'd probably enjoy it, and I'd probably collect from it. But I'd be worried that they wouldn't do it well enough that I would want it to be in existence.
I think for me, because it is literally my favorite trilogy, leave it alone. But if they came out and did it, you'd be damn sure I'm going to be front and center on opening night. Like, there's no way I'd let that one slide. But I'd be like a bit of a nervous excitement because I wouldn't want it to ruin.
I've got a good Dark Knight question for you. Do you think the Dark Knight with Heath Ledger would have been as popular if Heath hadn't passed away?
Yes. Oh, okay, sorry, that's an interesting question. I answered too quickly. Would it have been as good a film? Yes, the film's the film. It's made. End of story. The performance isn't great because he died. The performance is great because it's great. It is literally the most captivating I've ever been by any performance. I walked out of the cinema and I was like, that was amazing. And like, as much as the effects were great and as much as the story was great and the action scenes and everything, it was, I'm rarely enthralled so much by an actor speaking words. It'd be up there like oh my god, is it Christopher Waltz, the opening scene of Inglourious Basterds? Like,
Inglourious Basterds, yeah.
Captivating. I'm sure there's definitely other actors since, but that was just captivating. So it doesn't matter. The film is the film, like. Do you know what I mean?
I remember Heath's take just making me laugh and be scared and like all of these emotions all at the same time. Sorry to cut you off.
I know, it's just like it's the film is the film, and it wouldn't change in the film. But yeah, look, obviously his death, in a dark way, his death probably benefited the box office because more people heard about his death and they're like, oh, wasn't he supposed to be the Joker? Oh, when's that coming out? We'll probably go see it. You know what I mean? So yeah, but the film is, would have been as, I think there's probably a box office bump there. It's a horrible thing to say, maybe, or that I do think that's the reality situation. But the film it would have been just as good. But I think maybe because of that happened, it created more of a awareness of the film because essentially one of the lead actors had passed away. Like, what was your take on it?
It was about the same, honestly, because somebody asked me that question recently. They were like, oh, The Dark Knight was only good because Heath passed away, so it got a lot of hype and all this stuff. And I was like, what? Like, did you watch the same movie as I did? Like, Heath was insanely good in that film. Like, I remember, thinking, like, because he was actually, like, I saw the film Brokeback Mountain years ago, like, with Jake Gyllenhaal, and, like, for the content, didn't love the movie necessarily, but he was still a good actor in it. But like, I thought of like Heath Ledger as like a Knight's Tale guy, where he was, or 10 Things I Hate About You.
That's a good rom-com.
He's that heartthrob guy, and like same as Pattinson in the new Batman film. When they said Heath was going to play the Joker, I was like, that is going to be the worst film I've ever seen. Like, there's no way he'll hold a candle to Nicholson. And then it was just such a different take on the Joker that he ended up becoming one of my favorites. I would say if, like, The only one that rivals Joker or Heath's performance as Joker, in my opinion, is Mark Hamill's take in the animated series, because Mark Hamill's Joker, for me, is still, I think, my number one favorite Joker of all time, even though he's not live action, obviously. But if you ever get a chance, everybody watching, YouTube Mark Hamill doing the Joker voice and just watch him that's like in a sound booth doing the voice acting for the Joker. He is amazing to watch, dude. It's insane. It's insane. But I love Heath and I loved The Dark Knight. I don't think it would take away from it at all.
So. Yeah, I mean, it's just a good film is a good film, and calling The Dark Knight a good film is a total insult to the film. So, okay, I'm not writing this off. I really like the design. I literally timestamped that. If you want to check this out, it's A Dark Knight Rise. It's 39 minutes and 51 seconds in, and you can see the scenes where this is. It's a lot more transparent and it's a lot more crystal-like looking and transparent, crystal, see-through. That is the best way I can describe it. This looks very Tupperware-ish. I'm hoping that this is a rough thrown together prototype. I want to see if, one, they release this and put it up for pre-order, and two, what are the options? Does it come on its own? Does it come with Bruce Wayne, like the previous one? I'm not writing this off. I may have a look at it. What about this, Ben?
So I hated the initial preview views of this figure. I absolutely hated it, and it was weird because they showed the images of the preview of the figure like days after I finished watching like the TV show. And in Suicide Squad 2, I loved Suicide Squad 2, but I didn't actually like John Cena's character in that film. He almost ended up being kind of like what felt like the bad guy at the end.
Yeah, he was.
And so when they announced that he was going to have a TV show, I was like, okay, like, I don't think I'll care. And then I watched his show and it was amazing. Like, I laughed. I thought it was badass action. There was just so much good in there.
Did you ever skip the intro?
No, not once. Not one single time. It was
Sometimes
so
I just watch the
addictive to
intro.
listen to. I even listened to it in the YouTube, like on the car sometimes, because it got stuck in my head and then I wanted to listen to it, right? But and then they released the preview images for that figure, and I was like, hell no, that does not look like John Cena. And I was super bummed because I wanted that. I wanted his representation in the collection as soon as the show ended. And then they re-released these images this week of what he looks like now. And I don't like the open mouth sculpt as much. I like the closed mouth, more serious, like you can see his kind of jaw sculpting and stuff. I think that looks even still more like John Cena. And they've changed his arms, right? They've turned him into the seamless arms. And I know seamless arms aren't definitely not for everybody, but for me, I think John Cena is one of those guys that needs seamless arms, to be fully honest.
Yeah,
he's just
agree.
so jacked, and he's got such an iconic looking jaw structure. You can't mess that up. So that's going to be a buy for me, 100%.
Joao is threatening to get me one because I said in the stream that why can't they just do this guy's arm like the seamless arms like Thor Love and Thunder, and Joao was saying oh, that will never happen. If that happens, I'll buy you one, like, and like joking, but now he's like committing to it, and I was like, man, it's a joke, you don't have to do it. He goes, no. So I was like,
oh my god,
I don't know, man, it's super generous. I actually messed up. I took the wrong slides, but really quickly, yay or nay on this? Or we talked about this already, I think. Yeah.
I'll get this with Deb.
The N1 Starfighter. Would you have any interest in that if they do release at 6 scale?
No. I think it's really cool. I just don't have the space for it. There's no way.
I'm the same. So look, we're going to finish up with the question that I finish up all of these streams with. Just massive shout out to anyone who's stuck with us to the end. We really do appreciate it. So Ben, do I have to explain this to you, or do you know what I'm going to ask you?
I'll have to explain it to me. It's been a while.
Okay, your house is on fire. Now, touch wood, this will never, ever happen to you, me, or anyone in the chat. Shauna's okay. She is safely outside with both of your cats. Everything's cool. Your house is insured. You're fine. You have time to safely grab 3 of your 1/6 scale collectibles. Not 4. Don't try and get 2-pack crap on me, right? 3 1/6 scale collectibles. What are your 3 fire figures?
That's a tough question. question. That's a
It
really
is.
tough question. So Heath Ledger DX11 for sure is one.
I thought the DX11 would be there, all right? Yeah.
I would say my Mark 7, my DX11, and it's such a toss-up. I want to say my Exo 6 Data. I love the Data. Data is one of my favorite characters of all time, so I think I would grab those three.
The DX11 Joker, the Exo 6 Data, and what was the other one? Sorry.
My Mark 7 Iron Man diecast Mark.
Your Mark 7, yeah. I suppose you kind of need to bring an Iron Man with you.
Mark 7.
Good stuff. I think.
But I think the hardest part about that question is that I love all the figures behind me, what I feel like almost equally.
Yeah.
So that's why you get insurance. You get your collection appraised, and then burn, baby, burn. Grab the most valuable and get it.
Have you done that? Have you got your collection appraised? Really? Yeah. And what happens? Does someone come out and value it?
Yeah, so when we got the house, I got it as part of our contents insurance. So I kind of submitted receipts that I've spent on them and all, and yeah, so right. I've got a certain blanket cover and like a list essentially with insurance of like what figures I have. So I would 100% recommend it, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's something looking into. We recently renewed our home insurance, but it has a flat rate. But yeah, I might actually take a look at that.
Because that was actually something that Marco had asked me if I do, because he's got an amazing spreadsheet of like every part of his collection, including his cabinets, his lighting, like all of it, like all the money he's put into his collection, like what that looks like on dollars on a spreadsheet. And so I did the same thing, right? Because again, if your house burns down, you want to be able to say you got either 25K in here or 30K and be able to prove it and try and recoup some of that. Of course, thankfully they reissue some figures, so if any burn that I can't get back, I'll just cross my fingers that they come back again. So
yeah,
hope John's not listening.
Yeah, and if he is, like, you can always come on the show, and I will listen to him. I would like to have Zach on at some stage, and John.
I'll tell them.
And do tell him. I definitely love to have him on. Zach was he was I messaged him very early on when I was starting. He gave me some sound advice. He put me in contact with the guys from OFAC, and I streamed with them a few times, and just gave me some sound advice, just like, put out consistent content and don't try to overdo it and stuff, and I'd love to have him on the show, and maybe Eddie as well, and John and Dean, because it's just everyone's so different, you know what I mean? So
Eddie's not with Collecting Weekly anymore, but I know Eddie's doing his own thing now. I think his channel is called Made Media.
Gotcha.
Made Media. So
cool.
check him out as well, and he's got a Facebook page. It's been doing pretty good. So, and he's talking a lot about statues and stuff on there. So if you guys listening are statue guys, check him out as well. He's a good guy.
Excellent. So obviously, Ben, loved the conversation. Like I said in the intro, met a lot of Canadians traveling, and never met a Canadian that I can think of that I didn't like. So what's coming up on your channel?
Yeah, so yesterday I just did another toy tour. So it's toy tour number 10, which was a comic book store here in Calgary. I've been doing a lot of toy hunting, so I kind of bring the audience with me into these toy stores, and I've been looking for Batman the Animated Series figures and just whatever I think is cool when I go through these places. So the one that I did yesterday was it's more comic book focused store, but they had some beautiful variant covers in there, so I definitely recommend that. I think I've got about 48 videos on my channel now, so that's the Ben Thomas Show. The toy tours have definitely done the best in terms of growing my audience and getting to meet new people, but as a content creator, I do my best to respond to every single comment that I get. So if you watch my video and you comment, I will absolutely comment back if I can, because I like hearing back from people, and I like feedback, and it's kind of fun being part of that community. So yeah, so that's I think kind of going forward. I've got a Venom review coming up here probably in the next couple days. I'm going to continue to do more toy tours and just cool stuff. I called it the Ben Thomas Show because I didn't want to be isolated in a box. I didn't want to just be 6 scale. I didn't want to just be 6 inch. I wanted to be able to talk about basically anything that means something to me. And at least then you're going to get the honest and genuine take from me, right? So
and that's something that I know. I asked Joao, one of his focus questions when Joao did an episode of Visions was as a content creator at 1/6 scale himself, when a new YouTuber who's also a 1/6 scale content creator comes on the scene, what will make you click that subscribe button? What will make you keep watching and want you to follow him? The main thing he said was honesty. Just be honest. 100%. Like, don't go with the crowd. You know, just tell me you're honest. If you like something, you like something, and why. And if you don't like, you don't like, even if it's an unpopular opinion. Yeah, so he must like my videos on Toys Wonderland. I don't really shy away from that. I know a lot of people hate them, but it's like I neither endorse nor roast them. I just give the honest opinion. Like, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, same as most companies. But thanks very much for joining me. Look, I've just my own. That's if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the Ben Thomas Show on YouTube, or you can follow at the Ben Thomas Show on Instagram. My own channel, obviously you're watching it now, 1/6 Figure Focus. If there's anybody in the chat there who hasn't clicked the subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate if you do, because I'm getting closer and closer to that mega milestone 1,000. Also, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, I do 1/6 scale photography, so literally everything behind me, I've done 1/6 scale photography of all of them, and they're all up on my Instagram at 1/6 Figure Focus. I did a huge amount of content today. I just got up. I was very productive. I had about 17 coffees, and I went through a video called San Diego Comic-Con so far, my top picks. I did a pre-order preview on Morbius, Wolverine, Kenobi. I also did a kind of reaction video to the Grogu and Miles. Yeah, and I'm taking tomorrow off. I'm going mountain biking. I'm going to enjoy myself. So the next time you see me will be on Sunday on Collector's Lounge. That'll be 5 o'clock my time, which is 12 o'clock New York time. And straight after that, I'm going into episode 16 of Visions with Brendan Riley, which will be again 7 o'clock my time, or 2 o'clock 2 p.m. New York time. And then on Monday evening, it'll be like reviews with Rich. He's been streaming with us on Collector's Lounge for the last few weeks, so that'll be episode number 17, I believe, Vision. So we're getting up there in the numbers. Things are good. So very quickly address the chat before we say goodbye.
Sorry, buddy. Can I interrupt you one more time? Because I forgot to mention the guys, again, we've talked about a little bit. The guys at Collecting Weekly, if for whatever reason anybody in the chat doesn't watch them as well, please take a look over there. Those guys are getting really close to their 2,000 subscriber mark, and they are giving away a Shore Trooper Hot Toys at their 2,000 giveaway. So there's a couple ways that you can win, but if you're interested in that, they have amazing content. I'm on their main show every Tuesday night as a guest host. So if you like me, you'll see me there every Tuesday. But again, they're a great channel, and they've got a show almost every day of the week, whether it's 6 scale, statues, OFAC, which is kind of overseas guys, or small scale stuff. So definitely worth checking them out. And then Marco at 1/6 Fix, whenever his beautiful wife Gigi is busy with law, he invites me on as a guest host, so occasionally I get to be there too. So definitely check him out.
Excellent stuff. Thank you. So Ryan Smith, great show, guys. Eddie Rodriguez, yeah, this was one of my favorite episodes of Visions. Good stuff. Ben, he obviously liked your presence and your opinions and everything. Good stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
And they base quote on current at time of appraisal market value of a fig, not what you paid for it, correct?
Tremble, if you want to know more, just you can message me on Instagram there, and I'll get back to you.
Stuff. He's got. He'll give you the hookup. Good stuff. Hate is a pretty strong word. Distrust greatly better. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Good night, chat, and good stuff. I'm taking a day off. Kind of wrecked, but Ben, thank you very much for joining us. Chat, thanks very much for sticking with us to the end. Really appreciate it. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Or even if you want to set up 49 burner accounts, and just so I can wake up tomorrow 49. Morning and have 1,000.
That's my Sunday project. Okay.
I want to check what I'm at now, man. I just interestingly check what I'm at now. I'm at 951. So look, one of you folks, just get put the kettle on, get a lot of coffee, set up 49 burner accounts, and get me made. Thanks very much, and do the same for Ben. How far away are you? You're probably approaching 500, aren't you?
I'm at 4. I think I was at 425 or 420 or something like that today. So yeah. Getting close, anyways. So
right, so basically, one person has to do 75 burner accounts for you, and one person has to do 49 for me. That's nothing much to ask. Like, only joking, folks. Thanks very much for being with us to the end.
You guys are the best.
And yeah, look, we're out of here. Gotta get some sleep. Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you, folks. Oh, I hit the wrong button. It had to happen sometime. All right, we're
Love
really
to
gone
see
this
it.
time. Bye.